Chapter 255. The little Peng King clasped his hands behind his back. His gold hair fluttered in the wind, his eyes intimidating. He looked like he was the only one in the world, giving people a strong pressure. Peng 11G, why do you have to do that? The little Flood Dragon King stood in front of him. The little Peng King's murderous aura was like a saber, his voice cold. I've given him a choice. Leave the mysterious yellow origin root and he can leave alive. Otherwise I will take it myself and he will die without an intact corpse. Little Peng King, don't cross the line. Two-Fei scolded, also standing in front of him. What if I cross the line? The little Peng King's eyes were as sharp as a saber. His eyes could pierce people's bones and his murderous aura covered Two-Fei. This was a character who didn't recognize his family and friends. He only respected his own will. Once he made up his mind, no one could stop him. The little Flood Dragon King darkened his face. No matter what, this place was his palace. If the other wanted to kill people here as the master, he couldn't just stand and watch. The invisible murderous aura diffused in the grand palace. The atmosphere was tense. The little Peng King was like a heavenly saber coming out of its sheath, making the maids standing far from him shiver. Facing such a dangerous character with a sky-high evil aura, Yi Fan was resolute. He didn't say anything and just took out the cauldron made of the source qi, making it hover above his head. At this moment, power was everything. Principles and Daos were useless. He had to use his skills to speak. The Shenhuang energy fell down and wrapped around Yi Fan tightly. The source energy of all things flowed and it was as if he had returned to the beginning of the world. As soon as the cauldron appeared, the other members of the monster clan shot out divine light from their eyes, gazing at it without blinking. I like it very much. The little Peng King rose his hand, turning into a massive gold claw that filled half of the hall. It snatched the cauldron made of the mysterious yellow origin root, which frightened people. He was extremely arrogant. Facing the weapon made of a holy treasure, he wasn't afraid at all. He wanted to snatch it directly from Yi Fan's head. Boom. The little Flood Dragon King took action. He rose his hand, blocking the mysterious yellow origin root cauldron and the massive claw. This was a clash between the top members of the younger generation of the demon race. Although it was not a life-and-death battle, such a casual strike was still very terrifying, enough to turn the entire palace into ashes. However, the two of them didn't want to destroy this place. Both of them stopped their attacks at the right time. Their large hands were like black holes as they froze the storm in place. Then they retracted their divine power. Brother Qingyi, I've already made up my mind. You can't stop me. The killing intent in the little Peng King's eyes didn't decrease. Behind him, a godlike divine bird, Peng, appeared, emitting terrifying demonic energy. Buzz. The entire palace was shaking. The golden-winged little Peng King looked at everyone in disdain and made his move again. He grabbed towards the black and yellow cauldron with unfathomable divine might. The green-robed little Flood Dragon King tried to stop them. Two-Fei also came to help. This was the first time Yi Fan had met such an unreasonable person. He didn't have much to say. He shook the cauldron made of all things source qi and faced the huge hand. The golden-winged little Peng King indeed possessed impressive strength. Otherwise, how would he dare to pluck the cauldron with his bare hands? His large hands were like a heavenly mountain, as if they could suppress the blue dome of heaven. Clang! The big hand he thrust out was even more terrifying than the great void handprint of the Ji family's disciples. The cauldron made of all things source qi vibrated and was almost blown away. Yi Fan was shocked. This man was worthy of being a peerless character of the young generation. He was invincible in the center of the Eastern Barren territory. If the little Flood Dragon King didn't stop him, perhaps he would have taken the cauldron away. Boom! The little Flood Dragon King and Two-Fei attacked the golden-winged little Peng King's arms at the same time. He had to withdraw his power to counter them. He had to admit that the golden-winged little Peng King was really intimidating. Wherever his fingers and palms passed, the space darkened as if it was going to collapse. What kind of character was the little Flood Dragon King? He was the peerless young expert who could stand side by side with the saint son and saintess of the great sage land. He had the inheritance of the great sage of the monster clan, the blue Flood Dragon King. Two-Fei wasn't ordinary. He used to fight with the Yaoshi saintess. Although he couldn't defeat her, he could protect himself. However, at this moment, when the little Flood Dragon King and Two-Fei attacked at the same time, they couldn't stop the other. The golden-winged little Peng King was like a god that couldn't be stopped. He stood upright, his big hand as heavy as a mountain. The two of them paled as they were blown away. I want to kill you. No one can save you. The golden-winged little Peng King stepped forward, looking down at Yi Fan. Murderous aura moved in his eyes. The metal wind stirred up. His big hand reached forward, aiming at the cauldron on Yi Fan's head. He wanted to snatch it. Snatching the cauldron like that wasn't just arrogance. It was also the embodiment of his peerless competence. Not many people dared to do this. Yi Fan urged the battle saint technique, controlling the mysterious yellow cauldron to attack the big gold hand. He wanted to smash it into powder. Clang. The cauldron boomed. The sound waves were like a tsunami. The golden-winged little Peng King's power could shake the sky. His big hand grabbed the cauldron. No one could tell how heavy the mysterious yellow cauldron was. The golden-winged little Peng King's divine aura was intimidating. He grabbed the cauldron and was about to take it. The cauldron made of source chi shook. The shockwave was enough to turn the entire palace into ashes. The little flood dragon king took action to dissolve the shockwave from the cauldron to prevent the palace from being destroyed. It wasn't hard to imagine how powerful this cauldron was. However, the golden-winged little Peng King still grabbed it and was about to take it away. Yi Fan was stern. This cauldron could break anything. It was like breaking dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. However, at this moment, the golden-winged little Peng King was holding it in his hand. It was about to get out of his control. It was really terrifying. The little flood dragon king and Tu Fei took action one more time. However, the golden-winged little Peng King was too intimidating. His right hand grabbed the cauldron while his left hand pressed down. The two of them were blown away immediately. The golden-winged little Peng King could absolutely compete with the Yao Guang Saint's son. He was another character that could resist the God King physique. The source chi from the cauldron fell. It was so heavy that it could crush a mountain. However, the golden-winged little Peng King slowly lifted it up. Kill? However, at this moment Yi Fan finally took action using his trump card. He had been waiting for a chance. Now that he was close enough, the small gold lake in his glabella created a metal sword that was around an inch long. It drew a dazzling light beam and shot out. The soul consciousness created a shape and pierced the golden-winged little Peng King's sea of consciousness. It wanted to kill him with one strike, even if he was a descendant of an almighty. The metal sword was around an inch long, but it was as dazzling as a rainbow. It crossed the hall. Everybody discolored. It was a kind of pressure of the soul consciousness that suffocated people. Then, the cauldron made of source chi hummed and returned to the sky above Yi Fan's head. Flows of mysterious yellow chi fell and protected him. The golden-winged little Peng King was like a god. He let go of the cauldron and retreated quietly. He was so fast that people could only blur their eyes. Their eyes couldn't catch up with his speed. The Sky Peng's extreme speed was unrivaled in the world. The small sword formed from Yi Fan's soul consciousness could not be said to be slow. It was like sparks flying off a flint. Normal people wouldn't be able to react at all. However, the golden-winged little Peng King barely evaded it, displaying a speed that shocked everyone. Heavenly Ping movement technique, world's fastest speed. Someone cried out in alarm. Yi Fan wasn't completely powerless. A strand of golden hair fluttered down like a ray of sunlight falling onto the ground. The soul consciousness-formed golden sword did not penetrate the golden-winged little Peng King's forehead, but it cut off a strand of hair in front of his forehead. At close range, the powerful soul consciousness attack was always successful. Yi Fan relied on it to avert danger time and time again. He killed Ji Ren and suppressed the Yao Guang Saintess. He had never failed before. However, the golden-winged little Peng King displayed a speed that made people feel intimidated. He actually evaded it. This was hard for others to believe. However, this was the reality. The golden-winged little Peng King's strength was astonishing. He was almost unrivaled in the younger generation. His speed was also terrifying. The celestial Peng movement technique is indeed unrivaled. Someone exclaimed in admiration. The golden-winged little Peng King's golden hair danced chaotically. His pupils were like blades as he stared at Yi Fan. Only he had such a world-shocking speed. If it was someone else, they would definitely be hit by the golden sword. On the side, the demonic beasts were also shocked. They didn't expect Yi Fan to have such a terrifying soul consciousness. The golden-winged little Peng King pressed forward step by step. He clearly knew that the opponent's soul consciousness was powerful, but he was still fearless. This was an extremely dangerous character. His eyes were filled with a crazy killing intent. It was intimidating and chilling. Brother Peng, do you really regard me, your master, as nothing? The green-clothed little Dragon King's complexion was ashen and extremely unsightly. It's merely a human race's primordial trash body. If I kill him, then I kill him. Brother Chingy, why do you care? The golden-winged little Peng King's killing intent was slightly restrained. He is my guest. If you kill him here, how will others look at me if this gets out? Fine brother Chingy, I'll give you face. I won't make a move in your residence. The golden-winged little Peng King suddenly turned around, walking out of the palace. The mysterious yellow original root is mine. When he left, some demonic cultivators followed him in the hall. They were the people he had brought with him. Tu Fei was enraged. That's too much. Chingy bro, your friend doesn't understand human feelings. He's arrogant and thinks that he's the only one. Who the F***ck is he? The green-clothed little dragon king slightly changed his visage. Forget it. Don't talk about it. Tu Fei turned around, facing Yi Fan. You're in big trouble this time. That madman who thinks that he's the only one won't let you go. You stay in my palace. Don't go out for the moment, frowned the little dragon king. Tu Fei said, Little Yezi, you're really something. Your soul consciousness is really powerful. If the news that you cut off a strand of the golden-winged little Peng King's golden hair is spread out, it will create an uproar. No one in his generation can hurt even a strand of his hair. Some young experts of the monster clan in the hall looked at him. Yi Fan's soul consciousness attack was so intimidating that it had shocked everybody. You cut off a strand of his golden hair and hurt his face. I'm afraid that even if we ask the Peacock King, he can only subdue him temporarily. He will take your life in the future, frowned Tu Fei. What a pity. His speed is too fast. My soul consciousness attack can't do anything to him. Yi Fan felt regretful. Is he really a rock? There's no real dragon in this world. Of course there's no Kunping either. However, their tribe does have the blood of the divine Peng, answered the green-clothed little dragon king. Yi Fan understood it immediately. The golden-winged little Peng King's tribe was similar to the Flood Dragon tribe. They weren't the divine Peng or the real dragon, but they were the royal tribe of the monster clan. The heavenly Peng's movement technique is peerless in this world. I'm afraid you'll have a big problem in the future. You won't be able to run away, said a monster cultivator. That year, only the mad oldie of the human clan could catch up with the king of the rock tribe. No one else could be faster than him, said another monster. That human kid, your mysterious yellow original root is mine. The golden-winged little Peng King's voice arose from outside the palace. Live well for the last few days. The little dragon king frowned, talking to a maid. Go and invite Miss Yenryu here. Chapter 256. People in the hall didn't look good. The little Peng King was too unreasonable. Even the dragon king in blue frowned. Why invite Yenryu? Just invite the blue dragon king and kill that birdman with one slap. Tu Fei was enraged. He knew it was impossible. The little Peng King had an extremely powerful ancestor. He was called the Peng King, a giant of the monster clan. Not to mention the Peng King's invincible competence. The Sky Peng's speed was enough to give the great sage a headache. No one could stop him in this world. Yi Fan also felt aggrieved. He hated that he couldn't enter the 4 extreme secret domains and kill the little Peng King with one slap. This Peng King was too arrogant. He wanted to take the cauldron made of source chi. He didn't say much and just wanted to take his life. Shi Yin had never met such a madman before. However, the little Peng King was really strong. He was one of the 4 extreme secret domains. His cultivation base was so profound that it could be compared to Yao Guang's Saint Sun. You should just endure it. No one in the younger generation is a match for him. Even if there are people in the older generation who can kill him, they wouldn't dare to make a move. If the old Peng King is provoked, then it would be a great disaster. A demon cultivator advised. Holy **T. This birdman's background is so powerful. No wonder why he wants to go to the Jade Lake Grand Meeting and fight against Yao Guang's Saint Sun. He's not afraid at all, cursed Tu Fei. The little Peng King can't find a rival among the young generation. He does have the capital to be arrogant. It's useless to talk about other things. A monster cultivator shook his head. The Sky Peng tribe was favored by God. Their bodies were strong enough to fight against flood dragons. On top of that, they were extremely fast. No race in this world could catch up with them. The little Peng King used all of these advantages. His fighting power was unparalleled in the same realm. The Sky Peng King's speed was unparalleled. He could even dodge the soul consciousness attack. Even though Yi Fan had the old lunatic's footwork, he was not as fast as the little Peng King. Unless he entered the 4 extreme secret domains, he wouldn't be able to compete with the little Peng King in terms of speed. After all, the old lunatic had used this footwork to catch up with the Sky Peng King. Holy **T. This birdman is so annoying. Tu Fei had a big mouth and didn't care about his words. Isn't it just a little bird? Just roast it. Back then this emperor loved to roast little birds the most. At this moment, the Black Emperor, who had been silent all this time, muttered in a low voice. Yifan really wanted to give it a kick. This damn dog only knew how to boast shamelessly. He didn't see it do anything just now. Human brat, I'll wait for you outside. The golden-winged little Peng transmitted his voice from outside the palace, and then completely quieted down. He picked up the golden hair and twirled it on his finger. Wen Peng. Yifan. Yifan Peng, said. Kid, said Peng, King, kid, shut up. Yifan didn't want the stupid dog to guess randomly and kept the golden hair. Fan yen peng yen. Peng ping yi du, fong ping ping long ping 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 ti. The Peacock King and the Blue Flood Dragon didn't have much lifespan left. Usually they were cultivating in seclusion. If there was nothing important, no one would disturb them. Although Little Peng King was strong, he wasn't strong enough to ask them to get out of seclusion. Not long after, the sound of nature arose from outside the palace. Yen Ruyu had arrived. She looked to be no more than 18 or 19 years old. Her white dress dragged on the ground, her black hair danced in the wind, and her long eyelashes trembled. Her eyes seemed to be misty, like a blooming divine lotus, and her whole person had an ethereal temperament. She looked around 18 or 19 years old. Her white dress dragged on the ground. Her black hair fluttered and her long eyelashes fluttered. Her eyes were misty like a blooming divine lotus. Her aura was ethereal. You must be the Yen fairy. In this world there isn't such a beautiful fairy. It's my good fortune to see you today. Tu Fei came to greet her, complimenting her continuously. Men should be bad. The big black dog didn't give him face, mumbling. Tu Fei was baffled, but he couldn't burst out. He politely invited Yen Ruyu to sit as if he was the owner of this place. Not to mention him, even the several young experts of the demon race who often saw Yen Ruyu were in a trance at this moment. Everyone would admire and yearn for perfection. Yen Fairy, we meet again, Yi Fan greeted her. Yen Ruyu smiled and nodded to him. Little brother Ye's cultivation base has advanced fast. Congratulations. What's there to congratulate? Little brother Yi is in big trouble. A madman has laid his eyes on him. The little Peng King wants to take his life. Tu Fei went straight to the main topic. What? Yen Ruyu's smile and frown were moving. Her voice was like the sound of nature. The little Peng King has laid his eyes on little brother Ye's original root of source energy. He wants to steal it and take his life. Tu Fei was indignant. The holy treasure of heaven and earth can move people's hearts. Even if the little Peng King doesn't want it, someone else will take action, said Yen Ruyu. Light moved in her beautiful eyes. She had experienced this before. Several of the young demon clan experts present looked a little unnatural. Although they were sitting there, they did have other thoughts in their minds. You have the holy treasure. Of course people will covet it. You should hide and cultivate, said Yen Ruyu. She didn't say that Yi Fan shouldn't come here. However, she pointed out that the cave palace of the monster clan's almighty expert wasn't his pure land. When Yi Fan burned the great elder of the Ji family in the southern area, he had exposed the cauldron made of source energy. As long as he showed his real body, no matter where he was, he would be targeted. However, he didn't have a choice this time. He had to use his real body to enter the important area of the monster clan to build a good relationship with his old friends. Otherwise he couldn't find Pang Bo's whereabouts. The little flood dragon said, Peng brother has crossed the line. Fairy, please help me persuade him. Yen Ruyu's identity wasn't ordinary. She was the descendant of the monster clan's great king. Moreover, her cultivation base was incredible. 2 years ago, she had fought with the God King physique of the Ji family in the southern area. I will try to persuade him, nodded Yen Ruyu. Outside the palace, there were beautiful mountains and rivers. Beautiful scenery was everywhere. Strange rocks, longevity pines, mist and waterfalls were all magnificent. There were many palaces and pavilions in the mountains. Opposite them was a green mountain with old pine trees. There was a pavilion on the peak of the mountain, which was surrounded by longevity pines. The little Peng King and some beast cultivators were sitting there, drinking. The little flood dragon Yen Ruyu, Yi Fan and Tu Fei flew over and landed. The little Peng King stood up, gazing at Yi Fan. His murderous aura was like a rising tide, diffusing everywhere. What are you doing? Yen Ruyu parted her red lips and asked. The little Peng King clasped his hands and said, Greetings, Fairy Yen. I want to take the mysterious yellow origin route. He didn't conceal anything and directly stated his intention. Yi Fan and I are old friends. He's my guest. You're crossing the line, aren't you? Yen stood on the peak of the mountain. Her white dress fluttered as if she wanted to ride the wind and fly away. Our monster clan always respects the strong. Fairy Yin, he's just a trash from the desolate antiquity. Don't bully me. The little Peng King's golden hair fluttered, his eyes like electric beams. He's an old friend of mine. I don't want you to trouble him. Yen stood still. You're the descendant of the great emperor. You have the holy blood of the monster clan in your body. You shouldn't have a relationship with a cripple. I'm going to kill him to cut the unnecessary karma for the princess. The little Peng King's voice was resolute as his murderous aura shot up. Damn it, this birdman is crazy. Tu Fei cursed in a low voice. Enough. What's your logic? Yen wasn't happy. He's my friend. What does he have to do with Xiao? He has a holy treasure like the source chi root. Today it appears in the important place of our monster clan. It's God's will. I should get it. The little Peng King didn't flinch. So, you want to kill my friend because of your selfish desire? Yen flawless face beamed a faint smile. You can't say that. I have the aspiration of the great emperor. If I get it, I can refine it into an extreme weapon. It will strengthen our monster clan. The little Peng King's voice was resolute. His golden hair fluttered in the wind. Two sharp lights shot out from his eyes. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? How many great emperors could there be? Do you think a lunatic like you can achieve that? Tu Fei smiled faintly. Well, I'm invincible in the younger generation of the Eastern Barren Continent. I'm as strong as the great emperor when he was young. The little Peng King's eyes shot out two beams of cold light. He looked at Tu Fei as if he was looking at a dead man. I can take your life in 3 moves. You can come and try. His eyes revealed a crazy murderous intent as he strode forward. He really wanted to take Tu Fei's life with an arrogant attitude. Tu Fei was enraged. He had fought with the Yao Guang Saintess for a long time and could still protect himself. Now the little Peng King wanted to kill him in 3 moves. This made him feel wronged. He gritted his teeth and said, "Lunatic." However, he controlled his impulse and didn't rush over. The little Peng King was too terrifying. Not long ago he had joined hands with Qingyi, but they were blown away by the little Peng King's left hand. One had to know that Qingyi was on the same level as the saints of the great sage's land. The little Peng King turned around and stared at Yi Fan. Come here and accept your death. If it was before the primordial era, would you dare to kill the sacred body of the ancients? Tu Fei asked. Unfortunately, those days are gone forever. There's no turning back. The little Peng King was indifferent. It's hard to say. Maybe he will be a miracle. Yen gracefully stepped forward and stopped him. The little Peng King stopped and said coldly, Your Highness, you shouldn't have stopped me. There's no hope for such a person. He's not the only one after all these years. Didn't those holy lands train him before? In the end they still gave up. Things may go wrong. Yen body did not move as she stood in front of him. The little Peng King sneered and said, You and I both know that there's only one way out for this kind of physique. He continued to speak, and it was actually not far from what Yi Fan had guessed. In the past, several holy lands had discovered the sacred body of the ancients and secretly trained them. However, it was difficult for them to open up the sea of suffering. Later they finally came up with a way to overcome the difficulties, which allowed them to achieve amazing results in their cultivation. Once the sacred body of the ancients could be cultivated, as long as there were endless spiritual medicines, their cultivation would improve very quickly. Moreover, their combat strength was immeasurable. Even the lords of the great sage could not compare to them when they were young. However, every step forward with this physique required a huge amount of resources. Even the holy lands could not afford it. There was once a holy land that spent millions of kilograms of source to train a sacred body of the ancients to the 5th level of the Taoist palace. However, even a holy land with a deep foundation could not afford it. According to their speculations, to complete the 5th level of the Taoist palace and break into the 4-level secret realm would require at least millions of kilograms of source. Even the holy lands could not afford it. Moreover, no one knew what kind of difficulties would be encountered after entering the 4-level secret realm. Whether or not one could continue to cultivate was uncertain. Therefore, the sects with some foundation knew that the sacred body of the ancients would definitely stop at the 5th level of the Taoist palace. It was impossible to cross the barren chasm. In this world, even the holy lands could not produce millions of kilograms of source. It was an astronomical number that made people despair. The great sage all failed. They came to the conclusion that the sacred body of the ancients had fallen and could no longer reproduce the invincible posture of the past. It would never be able to rise again. From then on, Many sects in the world learned that the sacred body of the ancients had become a useless physique. No matter how much they paid to train it, it would eventually stop at the 4-level secret realm. It was impossible to enter the 4-level secret realm unless the Holy Lands were crazy enough to work together and provide millions of kilograms of source to help this physique break through the shackles. Obviously, this was impossible. With so many resources, it was enough to train a large number of masters. There was no need to squander it like this, as the gains did not make up for the losses. As for whether or not the cultivation path of the sacred body of the ancients would still be difficult after entering the 4-level secret realm, the great sage had no way of knowing because no one had ever tried to reach that step. The little Peng King was extremely cold and said, "I think you guys should be aware of the situation. What awaits him is a dead end. Why don't you let me help him get out of this? The source root of all chi should be in my hands, so I can forge my path to the great emperor." The little Peng King was as beautiful as jade. She had an otherworldly temperament. Like thin clouds covering the bright moon, like a gentle breeze caressing jade flowers, she looked like a fairy from heaven. She shook her head slightly and said, "The great emperor is not something that can be achieved by a heartless person. I won't allow you to kill him." The little Peng King took a step forward. His strong body had a demonic aura, and his aura was oppressive. He said, "How am I a heartless person? I came to the Green Dragon King's place of seclusion to propose to the princess. How could Fairy Yen marry a madman like you?" The blabbermouth Tu Fei said. "Who else but me?" The little Peng King looked around and said, "If I become the monster emperor one day, the princess will be the monster empress. I've never seen such an arrogant birdman. Wait until you have the aura of the great emperor before you come out and brag." Tu Fei said angrily, "You'll see in the future." The little Peng King's tone was calm, but his murderous intent was soaring. He reached out his hand to grab Yi Fan. Bang! The entire mountain shook. Yen Ryu made her move and flicked out a crystal lotus to block the little Peng King's hand. "I'm just killing a primordial degenerate. Princess, are you really going to stop me? Is it worth it?" The little Peng King's eyes were as sharp as knives. "You said you want to walk the path of the great emperor. Let me see if you have the talent to fight a sacred body of the ancients of the same level," Yen Ryu said calmly. "Unfortunately, there is no sacred body of the ancients of the same level for me to kill." The little Peng King put his hands behind his back and looked at everyone disdainfully. Killing a sacred body of the ancients of the same level? This birdman is crazy. He's too arrogant. Tu Fei could not help but curse. "I can suppress your cultivation to the second realm of the Taoist palace." Yen Ryu calmly extended her hand. Her palm was so dazzling that no one could look at it directly. An extreme path weapon. Everyone was shocked. They felt an irresistible aura and could not help but tremble. This was the power of the extreme path, and it was a sacred weapon left behind by the great emperor of the monster clan. How many great emperors have there been since ancient times? They are all unparalleled. Do you dare to try and see if you can suppress a sacred body of the ancients of the same level? Chapter 257. Yen Ryu, dressed in white, stood at the peak of the mountain. She was as beautiful as a moon fairy and seemed like she could fly to the moon at any time. At that moment her right palm was crystal clear. The power of the extreme path spread out, oppressing everyone present and making them feel fear. It was an unparalleled pressure, as if the ancient heaven had descended. There was no way to resist it, making everyone feel despair. It was like a tiny ant trying to shake a mountain, but it would never succeed. Everyone present was trembling and could not help but want to kneel. Gotcha. A few demon cultivators could not stand it anymore and cracked the ground under their feet. With a plop, they knelt on the ground and trembled. It was a fear that came from their souls. At the same time, Qingyi, Tu Fei, and the little Peng King were also gritting their teeth to resist the urge to kneel. This was the power of the extreme path, a sacred weapon forged by the great demon emperor. The pressure alone was unbearable and they could not help but kneel. It was an indescribable feeling. It was as if their souls were trapped by the 9 serenities of death. Life and death were all under the cover of the extreme path sacred weapon. The power of the great demon emperor was unfathomable. "Do you dare to fight the sacred body of the ancients at the same level?" Yen Ryu asked. "Who am I? I am the undefeatable sky rock of my generation. Why would I listen to anyone else's arrangement? I will kill if I want to and I will fight if I want to. Even if you are the descendant of the great demon emperor, you cannot control me." The little Peng King let out a long roar, and a golden divine bird appeared behind him, the rock. Like a god, it flapped its wings and broke through the suppression of the extreme path. He turned into a golden glow and soared into the sky. The little Peng King stood high in the sky with his golden hair dancing in the wind. His eyes were as sharp as knives and his tall body seemed to be cast in gold. He looked like a demon king looking down on everyone. The other demons were very shocked. They did not expect the little Peng King to break through the extreme path and stand high in the sky. This kind of terror and transcendence sent chills down their spines. On the other side, Yi Fan stood straight like a pine tree. His body was special, so he did not have the urge to kowtow. However, he was also shocked. His body did not seem to belong to him and it was difficult for him to move. He wasn't intimidated into submission, but his realm was too low. He couldn't break out like the little Peng King, so he could only stand on the field. The extreme weapon lives up to its reputation. The great Emperor's Saint weapon is so terrifying. If it were to be used, who in the world would be able to withstand it? The little Peng King's eyes were as sharp as a sword. Yen Ryu's palm flashed with brilliance, and she put away her holy weapon. The pressure was like a tide, quickly disappearing. A complete extreme path weapon can be so intimidating. Tu Fei was astounded. His grandfather had half a holy weapon, but it couldn't be compared to this perfect emperor weapon. The little Peng King stood in the sky. His golden hair fluttered in the wind, covering half of his sharp face. His expression became even more determined as he said, "The source root of myriad qi is mine. I must take out my saint weapon." "You're afraid to fight the sacred body of the ancients, aren't you?" Tu Fei shouted. "Killing him is as easy as cutting grass, but why should I listen to your arrangements?" The little Peng King remained unmoved. He clasped his hands behind his back. He was extremely conceited. "Don't hide it. That's because you're afraid and don't dare to fight. Everyone knows that the sacred body of the ancients is hard to resist. You birdman, you're just afraid," Tu Fei said. "When I, Sky Peng, do things, I don't need you to say anything. I will take his life right now and obtain the mysterious yellow origin root." The golden-winged little Peng King was extremely cold. He dove down murderously towards Yi Fan. Clang, clang, clang. Yen Ryu flicked her fingers and petals danced in the sky. Each petal was like a blade, blocking the little Peng King's path and slashing at his body. Buzz. The little Peng King waved his golden fist, shaking the void. All the petals shattered and disappeared in the sky. His demonic power was unparalleled. "With me here, can you kill him?" Yen Ryu stood quietly on the mountain peak. "Your Highness, I can't do anything to you since you have the extreme weapon. But if I want to kill someone, I don't think you can stop me." The little Peng King was arrogant. Yi Fan stood on the mountain peak and glanced at him. He sneered, "You think you're the best in the world, huh? If that's the case, go kill the sacred leader of Alcade and show us your demonic power." "I will do it in the future." The little Peng King stared at him with endless killing intent. "I can say the same thing. In the future I can kill two of you with one hand." Yi Fan sneered. "You seem to be very unconvinced." The little Peng King's eyes were cold. "I'm telling the truth. If we were in the same plane, I could kill you with one hand." Yi Fan continued to mock him. "If you say now, then I can also say that in the eyes of the sacred leader of Alcade, you are less than an ant. You don't have the right to dominate the world. How dare a primordial trash talk to me like that?" The little Peng King's expression was cold. "I've only cultivated for a little more than 4 years. I'm a few planes lower than you, so I'm indeed no match for you. You can indeed pretend to be a master in front of me after cultivating for so many years, but please don't think you're invincible. There's really nothing special about you." Everyone was shocked. It was indeed shocking that Yi Fan could achieve what he had after cultivating for only 4 years. If he had been born in the primordial era, his future would have been limitless. "Aren't you saying all this because you want to fight me at the same level?" The little Peng King sneered. "I've always been tempted. Killing a sacred body of the ancients at the same level gives me a sense of accomplishment. I just don't want to be set up by others. To me, there's no sense of accomplishment. I can predict the result. I can crush you with a flip of my hand." Yi Fan shook his head. These words were infuriating. The little Peng King sneered and said, "I'm really tempted." "Little Peng King, there's no need to lower yourself to the same level as a trash. There's no need to do this." Among the little Peng King's followers, a demonic cultivator said, "If he's not convinced, I'll take his life as a level 2 of the Holy Ji Palace." "People like you won't do. I can kill 10 of you by myself." Yi Fan shook his head. He only wanted to provoke the little Peng King into attacking. The demonic cultivator was also a powerful cultivator of the younger generation. He was quite conceited and a cold light shot out of his eyes. He then turned to Yen Ryu and said, Your Highness, please use an extreme weapon to suppress my cultivation. I want to fight him. Yenryu did not refuse and attacked right away. Her palm shone brilliantly, and the might of the extreme path flashed and disappeared, suppressing the demonic cultivator's cultivation. I don't need to do anything to deal with you. I can just close the door and let the dog out. Black Emperor bite him. Damn it. The big black dog was furious. He growled and turned around to bite Yifan. Everyone was speechless. Stupid dog, if you don't kill him, you can forget about getting the ancient scriptures and the black tortoise for the rest of your life, Yifan threatened through voice transmission. Human trash, what are you doing? The demonic cultivator sneered. Whoosh. With a flash of light, Yifan rushed over and slapped out with the giant palm of the void. The black hand covered the sky, and dark clouds rolled down with lightning. Bang! The demonic cultivator hit the sky with both hands and hit the black hand. However, he was sent flying by the black hand amid a muffled sound, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Everyone was shocked. This person was at the level 5 Holy Ji Palace realm. Although his cultivation was suppressed to the level 2, he still had his experience and combat awareness. Yet he was severely injured in a single exchange. Everyone gasped and lamented that the sacred body of the ancients was indeed invincible among those at the same level. Yifan rushed over in an instant. The black hand fell like a towering ancient tree, covering the sky and making the void tremble. Smack. This time, the giant palm of the void swept across and sent the demonic cultivator flying. He fell to the top of the mountain and lay there, spitting out blood. People like you talk big and say that your body is useless. Now that you've been defeated by me, aren't you even more useless? Yifan sneered and landed on the ground. The demonic cultivator let out a low growl and swallowed several pills. His bones crackled and his demonic power surged, causing the top of the mountain to tremble. He rushed over again and said, I can kill you myself. Black Emperor bite him. Although Yifan said this, he kept threatening the demonic cultivator through voice transmission. This dog's temper was too bad and it was difficult to tame him. Damn it, brat, just you wait. The black dog was furious. His bald tail was about to reach the sky, and he pounced on the demonic cultivator. I say, little Yi, you really send a dog to bite people. Is this stupid dog reliable? Tu Fei asked. The surrounding people were even more dumbfounded. Using a black dog that hadn't transformed to fight a demonic cultivator? Wasn't that just asking for death? The demonic cultivator slapped the black dog. He thought it would be enough to turn it into minced meat, but unexpectedly, his own arm was almost broken. Boom. He threw a punch toward the large black dog's head. The Black Emperor was not someone who liked to be beaten up, and he moved as fast as a bolt of black lightning. He opened his bloody mouth and swallowed this massive fist. Kacha. The sound of bones breaking rang out. Ayo. The demonic cultivator screamed in pain. He almost fainted because of the intense pain. A cold wind blew and he felt a chill on his wrist. Looking closely, he found that his fist was gone, and his wrist was bare and bloody. His palm had been bitten off. Ah, the pain was unbearable. He screamed at the top of his lungs and his head was covered with sweat. He quickly retreated. Beh. The black dog spat out blood, and his broken hand fell to the ground. He was actually retching. He quickly ran to a mountain spring, rinsed his mouth and cursed. Damn it, I hate eating fox meat the most in my life. Everyone was speechless. Everyone was dumbfounded. This listless black dog was actually so powerful. It was obvious that he wasn't a kind person. Sure enough, a dog that bites doesn't bark. Looking at its listless appearance, it looked harmless from beginning to end. After all, it turned out to be a ruthless character. What bad luck. The large black dog cursed. Everyone present was speechless. This bald dog really deserved a beating. That was what everyone thought. By the way, my favorite food is roasted birds. The black dog raised his neck, stared at the little Peking and licked his lips. Louder. Tu Fei said. Boom. The little Peking landed on the peak of the mountain. He stared at Yifan coldly and said, I really can't help but fight. The sacred body of the ancients is tempting. He suddenly turned around and faced Yenryu. I don't want to listen to other people's arrangements. This is my own will. Your Highness, please put away your ultimate weapon. I will seal my power myself. Are you sure you want to fight with the sacred body of the ancients at the same level? Tu Fei asked. How many great emperors have existed since ancient times? All of them are peerless. If I want to walk this path, I must suppress the sacred body of the ancients. The little Peking said in a low voice. Ha ha ha. Yifan laughed. He felt the blood in his body flow faster and he couldn't wait to throw a punch. Chapter 258. Verdant mountain peaks, ancient pine trees, strange rocks, and a waterfall that was 3,000 feet long. Killing sacred bodies of the ancients of the same level to forge my path to the great emperor. This is the will of the heavens. The source chi of all things shall belong to me. The golden-winged little Peng King was tall, and his golden hair was like a waterfall. His eyes were sparkling and he had a demonic air about him. As he stood on the peak of the mountain there was a daunting pressure. I have never killed a sky Peng before. Today I will dye my hands with Peng blood. Yi Fan opposed with equal harshness. Your physique has fallen. Even the world has abandoned you. You should have been buried in the soil a long time ago. Today I will completely destroy the sacred body of the ancients. The little Peng King's murderous intent soared into the sky. This was an extremely dangerous person who would kill at every turn. He was determined to obtain Yi Fan's cauldron, so it was impossible for him to spare Yi Fan's life. I, Tian Peng, am destined to become a great emperor. Your mysterious yellow origin root was prepared for me. It is a treasure given to me by the heavens. The little Peng King's hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he said, I will use your primordial sacred blood to cleanse the origin of the myriad chi and forge my sacred weapon. He's a motherf asterisk cur. Tu Fei muttered. Xianxia sighed and said, he indeed has the strength of a great emperor. He heard that Yao Guang Saint's son has been determined to be a great emperor since he was young, so he rushed to the north region to kill Yao Guang Saint's son with his own hands. Tu Fei was a little worried and asked, could he really suppress the sacred body of the ancients? It's hard to say. The great emperor doesn't necessarily have the sacred body of the ancients. If he really has the potential to become the great emperor, then Yi Fan is in real danger. Qin Yi shook his head and said, the Rock clan is blessed by the heavens. Their physical bodies are the best in the world just like the Jiao Dragon clan. They are no weaker than the human sacred body of the ancients. Kill the Saint Physique. Sacrifice the mysterious yellow blood. The little Peng King shouted. The mountain peak trembled. It was restricted by a formless demonic force as if it was going to collapse. Wah! Suddenly the silver waterfall stopped flowing and froze in the air. It was as if time had frozen. Everyone broke out in a cold sweat, and a sense of horror flashed through them. They didn't understand what had happened. Rumble. The silver waterfall fell and continued to flow. Everything returned to normal. I've already sealed myself and suppressed my cultivation to the second firmament of the Doctrine Palace. Little Peng's words were sonorous, like metal colliding with stone. The longevity pine was tall and straight, and the ancient vines were bold and vigorous. The mountain peak was completely silent. The great battle was about to begin. Buzz. The golden-winged little Peng King made his move. The heavenly Peng's extreme speed was unparalleled in this world. It transformed into a beam of light and rushed over. Its golden fist caused the space to collapse, emitting violent vibrations. Pa! Yi Fan struck out with the void palm imprint. A huge black palm covered the sky, and a dark mass of people collided heavily with the Peng fist. Boom! Like a thunderclap, it struck the mountain peak and caused it to tremble. Gold and black energy violently surged out in all directions like a tide. Pitter-patter, like the wind sweeping away the clouds like a great wave washing the sand. On the mountain peak, all of the longevity pine trees were uprooted and shattered in midair. All of the wondrous rocks turned into fine powder. That waterfall was even more so, swept up into the sky, flowing in reverse. The first collision was as easy as breaking dry weeds. Nothing was left on the mountain peak. The pavilions and other buildings were all destroyed and razed to the ground. The spectators were alarmed. When the gold and black energy swept towards them, they all soared into the sky and dodged. It was hard to imagine that this was the attack of a powerhouse at the second firmament of the Dao Palace. Buzz. The golden-winged little Peng King's eyes blazed with light as he charged forward. His golden fist was like a burning ball of divine fire. It was a pulsating divine brilliance. It was extremely dazzling, making it hard for people to open their eyes. It was hard to imagine just how great the power of this punch was. Bah! Yi Fan still used the void palm imprint. The black palm seemed to cleave down from the universe beyond. It was black and terrifying, causing the sky to tremble. Rumble. In their second clash, the two of them struck out with a yin-yang storm. Gold and black energy surged into the sky, sweeping out in all directions like a tsunami. The mountain peak could not withstand it. A corner of it cracked, emitting a deafening sound. At the same time, rubble shot through the sky, crashing into the shore. Huge rocks shot out in all directions. Yi Fan and the golden-winged little King were like two gods colliding. How can this birdman be so monstrous? His physical body can really be compared to the sacred body of the ancients. Tu Fei was shocked. Their race is blessed by the heavens. Not only are they unparalleled in speed, but their physical bodies can also rival real dragons. This is their unparalleled talent. Xian Yi's expression was solemn. No wonder this birdman is so crazy. His physical body is so terrifying. It's like another sacred body of the ancients, Tu Fei exclaimed. Boom. Yi Fan, who was in the middle of a fierce battle, naturally noticed the situation. The celestial rock's physical body tempered by the four-level secret realms was no weaker than his own. It was indestructible. Pa. Yi Fan continued to attack. The black palm and the golden fist collided, causing the mountain to collapse and the waterfall to flow backward. However, his physical body did not have the upper hand. The golden-winged little King was very brave and took all of the attacks head-on. The celestial rock's physical body that could kill real dragons was even harder than Daluo's silver essence. It shone brilliantly and resisted the sacred body of the ancients. Boom. The two separated. Yi Fan held the seal of mountains and rivers in his hand, and a huge mountain appeared above his head. On it, there were ancient trees and forests, birds and beasts, and even a silver waterfall. Yi Fan performed the Great Void technique and suddenly appeared in front of the golden-winged little King. He held the seal of mountains and rivers and slammed it down. What kind of seal is this? Everyone was shocked. The momentum was too great. The mountain towered high in the sky, majestic and majestic. Birds and beasts flew and the river surged. It was so real as if a real mountain had been moved. Boom. The sky and earth were turned upside down. The seal of mountains and rivers slammed down, and the golden-winged little King blocked it. Boom. The mountain was so huge that it was earth-shattering. It buried the little King under it. Everyone in the sky changed their expressions. The seal was too terrifying. Many people thought that they could not withstand it with their physical bodies. Even cultivators in the four-level secret realms would be turned into minced meat immediately. Boom. The golden-winged little King roared. His golden hair stood on end, and he waved a huge golden pen claw. It was a divine technique that could kill real dragons. The claw split the sky. The Peng's roar shook the sky, surging for dozens of miles. Many people in the sky felt their ears prickling, and they almost fell from the sky. The golden-winged little King split the sky with his bare hands. The huge pen claw tore the mountain apart and collapsed it in the void. Boom. The mountain collapsed and a violent explosion soared into the sky. The mountain under their feet was silently annihilated more than 10 meters high, and it became much shorter. This was the terrifying Rock Clan. They were favored by the heavens, and their physical bodies were not at a disadvantage when competing with the sacred body of the ancients. Yi Fan's expression did not change. So what if their physical strength was similar? He activated the Battle Saint technique, and the seal of mountains and rivers appeared again. Hum. The towering mountain seemed to tear through time and space, rushing over from ancient times and came crashing down. Boom. The golden-winged little King fought back. The Peng claw tore through the sky and once again the mountain was destroyed. Boom. However, Yi Fan's divine power was inexhaustible. He kept forming hand seals and 13 seals of mountains and rivers came crashing down. In the distant sky, many demon cultivators were dumbfounded. Tu Fei's eyes were wide open and he murmured, "Damn it, I can't fight with him. What a freak." Even someone as powerful as the golden-winged little King felt a little overwhelmed. The 13 mountains came crashing down one after another, forcing him to reveal the true form of the rock. Golden light shot into the sky and it was dazzling. A huge rock appeared and spread its wings. It was a giant bird that was dozens of meters long. Its entire body was dazzling as if it was cast in gold. It was filled with the sense of power bestowed upon it by the heavens, and it contained explosive divine power. The rock's rock roar. Its wings swept across the sky, directly shattering 6 mountains. Its divine power surged like a sacred flame, and its entire body shone brightly. Smack. The divine wings struck the sky, and all the clouds in the surroundings were shaken away. It was unstoppable and indestructible, and everything in its path turned into ashes. The seals of mountains and rivers were all shattered. This was the divine bird, the rock. Its divine power was overwhelming, and it could suppress all other races. But how could Yi Fan stop here? This was just the beginning. He used the Great Void technique, traversing through the void and arriving on the rock's back. He held the moon with both hands and a black demon mountain appeared in his hands. Embracing mountain seal. He hugged a huge mountain and fiercely smashed it towards Tianpeng's back. This kind of power was enough to make people tremble in fear. Bang! The embracing mountain seal shot out and the mountain came crashing down. Rumble! The black demon mountain struck the rock's true form and sent the little Peng King flying. However, the black mountain also crumbled. It was hard to imagine how strong the rock's body was. Swoosh! A blazing golden light flashed, and the little Peng King transformed into his human form, disappearing into the void. Not good. Yifan was alarmed. He used the Great Void technique to leave through space, but he was still one step too late. The rock's divine wings slashed down. The little Peng King's right hand turned into a 30-meter-long golden blade. It flashed with cold light as it slashed forward. Clang! Yifan passively met the attack. His golden fist slammed into the sky, creating a piercing sound that shook dozens of miles. Bang! Although he dodged this attack, he was still hit in the back by another rock claw, and he was sent flying hundreds of meters away. This was the rock's extreme speed. The little Peng King was unbelievably fast. He turned into thousands of phantoms, and they attacked unceasingly, attacking Yifan's body. I will naturally soar above the world. The little Peng King shouted. His body turned into thousands of phantoms, and they were everywhere, all attacking Yifan. In the end, all the phantoms merged into one, forming an eternal, undying body. Golden light shone over the world. The great killing technique was like thousands of waves, attacking Yifan unceasingly. The rock slash. The rock's divine wings tore the sky, and it slashed continuously. In just a short moment he used the rock's extreme speed to attack more than 10,000 times. Every strike caused the space around them to collapse. In the end they actually pierced through the space and sent Yifan flying many miles away. Can this birdman really become a great emperor? Even the sacred body of the ancients can't suppress him. Tu Fei was shocked. This was the first time in Yifan's life that he was evenly matched with an enemy. This was a terrifying rock that had the potential to become a great emperor. Don't try to use your soul consciousness to kill me. It's useless even if you use your cauldron. I will let your blood dye the sky red. The little Peng King's eyes were filled with crazier murderous intent. I'm afraid he does have the potential to become a great emperor. Xianxia looked serious. Are you saying that he might be able to kill the Alcate Saint? Tu Fei was shocked. The physique of a great emperor isn't necessarily a divine physique or a sacred physique. He might really have such potential. Yin Ryu also said. The other demon cultivators were all shocked. Was the little Peng King really that powerful? Roar! The little Peng King's roar shook the mountains and rivers. Under the rock's extreme speed, no one knew how many times he had attacked. Is this all you've got? Suddenly Yifan's cold voice was heard. He's not injured. Is the sacred body of the ancients almost immortal? Everyone was shocked. At that moment Yifan increased his speed. He was actually able to compete with the little Peng King's extreme speed and was not at a disadvantage. How is this possible? The rock's extreme speed is unparalleled and unparalleled. How can he catch up? The demon cultivators were shocked. Legend has it that only the crazy old man's footwork is comparable to the rock's extreme speed. He might even surpass it, Xianxia said in a low voice. He has cultivated the crazy old man's footwork. Yin Ryu nodded. Yifan went berserk. His divine power was monstrous, and his spiritual essence was surging. His large hand covered the sky and scattered the clouds in the sky. Bang! The large hand that covered the sky sent the little Peng King flying. Boom! Yifan formed a seal with both hands, and it was as if he was holding up the sky. A huge black sun suddenly filled the sky, exuding a vigorous aura. It was as boundless as the ocean, as endless as the abyss, and as majestic as an ancient mountain. Its might was monstrous and it made people want to kneel down and worship it. Great Sun Seal. Yifan raised the great sun that covered the sky and pressed it down. Wong. The little Peng King let out a long cry and went up against the sky, wanting to shatter the black sun. Boom. Black flames burned the sky and covered the sky, instantly drowning the little Peng King. The flames were monstrous and the little Peng King rushed up in a sorry state. Even the clothes on his body were burning. Roasted birds are my favorite, the big black dog shouted from below. The little Peng King was shocked and angry. He rushed up into the sky and the golden light around his body was dazzling. He put out the flames and shouted, I want the sacred blood of the ancients to flow out. He rushed forward and used his divine wings to strike the sky. Yifan was not afraid. He held the great sun seal in his hand, and another vigorous sun slowly rose. It was incomparably huge and it covered the sky. The black brilliance burned everything. Boom! The sky fell and the earth cracked. Flames swept the sky as the two of them fought fiercely. The intense collision caused the sky to boil. Then Yi Fan used the old Crazy Old's footwork and crazily rushed over with a demon mountain in his arms. Bang! The little Peng King was smashed and was sent flying. He had no choice but to show the true form of the Sky Peng again. The sacred body of the ancients was the sacred body of the ancients after all. The strength of his physical body was slightly higher than the true form of the Sky Peng. Yi Fan was almost berserk. The black demon mountain kept pressing down, attacking the little Peng King. Moreover, the black sun also filled the sky from time to time. He formed various seals, causing the world to boil. Fire Phoenix Seal, Sun and Moon Seal, Mountain River Seal, Mountain Embracing Seal. The battle saint technique was ever-changing and had no fixed form. One moment Yi Fan threw more than a dozen demon mountains, and the next moment he threw more than a dozen suns, completely drowning the little Peng King. The two of them fought to the death, each using their most extreme means. Boom! Yi Fan held a demon mountain and hit the true form of the Sky Peng, causing the little Peng King to stagger and almost fall from the sky. Yi Fan landed on the true form of the Sky Peng at an extreme speed, and the great seal of mountains and rivers blasted. The little Peng King let out a long roar and turned into a human, trying to get rid of the entanglement. However, he did not succeed this time. When he turned into a human, Yi Fan was still on his back. He swung his golden fist and smashed it down. He's riding the little Peng King? The demon cultivators were shocked. The situation began to change. The sacred body of the ancients had the upper hand, and Yi Fan gradually suppressed the little Peng King. Boom! Yi Fan's powerful divine sense rushed out and slashed at the little Peng King. Boom! The sky was filled with golden feathers. The little Peng King rushed out and left a feather coat in Yi Fan's hand. The golden feathers were crushed by the divine sense. "Skin the bird and keep it up," the big black dog shouted. The little Peng King's golden hair stood on end, and his eyes were like knives. He let out a long roar and pounced over again. He shouted, "Extreme speed divine change." Oh no, this is the divine change field that the Sky Peng evolved at extreme speed. It's almost impossible to survive if you're sealed in it, Xianxia exclaimed. The blood of the sacred body of the ancients can flow out now. The little Peng King said mercilessly. He punched forward with endless killing intent. Bang! However, to everyone's surprise, Yi Fan was not sealed. He attacked later but arrived first. His fist landed on the little Peng King's face, and a string of blood spurted out from his mouth. You! The little Peng King was shocked. He never thought that Yi Fan would not be restricted. He decisively retreated. However, Yi Fan launched a series of attacks. The golden hand swept across the sky and directly slashed down, covering the little Peng King's head. Bang! This was a very heavy blow. The little Peng King's body shook violently and his head buzzed. This was only him. If it were someone else, they would have been killed. The little Peng King's hair was disheveled and his body swayed. He almost fell from the sky. But Yi Fan's golden hand slapped over and landed heavily on the little Peng King's body. It was like slapping a scarecrow and he was sent flying. One wrong step led to many wrong steps. The little Peng King made a wrong judgment just now, and now he was being suppressed by Yi Fan. Bang! The golden hand covered the sky, and Yi Fan slashed on the little Peng King's back. A large string of blood spurted out from his mouth. Below, everyone was shocked. Yi Fan actually heavily injured the insufferably arrogant little Peng King. Chapter 259. Yi Fan's golden fist smashed over. It was as if the hardest divine metal of a deity was vibrating too quickly, releasing an ear-piercing vibrating sound. This was a wave of berserk divine force. The golden splendor dyed the sky a dazzling expanse, as if a scorching sun had shattered in the sky. This ferocious and heavy golden fist heavily smashed into the little Peng King's chest, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood that carried traces of gold. Roar! The little Peng King released a long roar. His messy hair flew about and every strand of hair stood on end. His robust body possessed a demonic nature as it released a terrifying ocean-like fluctuation. He wanted to reverse the situation. The divine Peng spread its wings. He didn't turn around and swept behind him. His right arm was as heavy as a mountain, and even space itself collapsed from the pressure. It was hard to imagine what kind of crazy power this was. Dang! Yi Fan's golden fist smashed out, landing on the Peng arm that was sweeping over. It was as if he was striking iron, releasing a sky-shaking sonorous sound. Their flesh was comparable to a mountain, and their toughness had reached an inconceivable level. When they brandished their arms, they could distort space. They possessed extreme power. Oh! Astral winds surged. The instant the little Peng King turned around, Yi Fan's large golden hand slapped out. It was as if a large millstone was smashing down. This strike was extremely terrifying. The millstone-like large hand seemed to be cast from gold, and it was filled with a destructive feeling. It pressed down on the space until it rumbled, and its power was terrifying. But there was no way to evade at all. This large hand locked down the heavens and hacked down, landing solidly on the little Peng King's body. Half of his body was struck. The little Peng King was immediately sent flying. Even someone as powerful as him couldn't endure this kind of heavy strike. Blood sprayed out from his mouth, and his golden hair scattered about. He almost fell down in the void. Yi Fan had the upper hand, so he naturally didn't want to let him turn the situation around. He didn't give him any chance at all, and he continuously used his great offensive techniques. The large golden hand covered the sky, cutting off the path ahead and slapping downwards. With one step in the lead, he took the initiative step by step. This kind of offensive was continuous and unending, and it was as if he had locked down the other party and suppressed him. Clang! The heavenly Peng spread its wings, wanting to break the golden hand. The attack was ferocious, even the void became dim. This type of terrifying hack completely sucked away the surrounding heaven and earth essence energy. The golden-winged little Peng King was full of unruliness. His eyes revealed killing intent as he retaliated almost crazily. His body ignited with raging divine flames to break free from this disadvantage. Dang, dang, dang! However, Yi Fan's sacred body of the ancients was even more ferocious. He fought force with force and overpowered force with force. His golden fist seemed to be able to pierce through the sky with unparalleled power. The intense collision was like the descent of the ancient heaven, suppressing the blue dome of heaven. It was also like the Milky Way crashing into the vast earth. Yi Fan's golden fist seemed to have fused with heaven and earth. Every time he punched out, the sky would tremble and the spectators in the distance would be horrified. It was hard to estimate how powerful it was. Ping, dang, such an intense battle was almost unseen among the younger generation. One was a sacred body of the ancients, while the other was a descendant of the divine Peng that could kill a true dragon. Both of their physical bodies represented extreme strength. It was like a needle against an awl. Their battle was soul-stirring, causing the entire sky to tremble. Yi Fan's divine power was inexhaustible and tireless. His aura grew stronger and stronger. Even the insufferably arrogant golden-winged little Peng King was shocked. The pair of golden fists were like mountains crashing against each other, forcing him to retreat. At this moment, the celestial Peng King's wings could not hurt him at all. The golden fist smashed through the space. Every heavy blow made his arm go numb, and the terrifying force made him want to spit blood. Yi Fan did not want to give him a chance to turn the tables. He never underestimated his opponents, let alone the celestial Peng that could sweep through the younger generation. His attacks were endless. Peng? He attacked like a storm, hitting the little Peng King until he could not withstand it. Blood kept flowing from the corner of his mouth, and the glow on his arms became much dimmer. Pa! Yi Fan's golden fists finally penetrated through. They rushed past the Peng King's wings and smashed into his chest. This kind of heavy blow was too much for the little Peng King to endure, and he felt intense pain. He flew backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. His messy hair was stained with blood, and his majestic body was trembling slightly. Yi Fan chased after him. The two of them seemed to be connected by an invisible rope, and they could not break away from each other. Whoosh! Yi Fan used the Great Void technique and suddenly appeared. A huge black hand covered the sky and slammed down. The little Peng King could not dodge at all. Peng? This was a terrifying heavy blow. It directly slammed into the little Peng King's head, causing him to spin around and lose his balance. The tyrannical little Peng King was actually beaten into such a sorry state. Blood dyed his clothes red and everyone in the distant sky gasped. One had to know that the little Peng King's divine might had spread far and wide. There was almost no one in the younger generation of the demon race who did not know of him. He wanted to walk the great emperor's path. This was a great opportunity. Yi Fan caught up in just 8 steps. Taking advantage of the little Peng King's dazed state, he carried a demonic mountain and pressed down. Embracing mountain seal. Boom. The majestic and unstoppable mountain pressed down on the little Peng King's body as if it had the power to turn the world upside down. In the distant sky, Everyone felt the destructive aura and couldn't help but be alarmed. However, the little Peng King's body was not broken. The black mountain smashed him flying away, and his body cracked open with bloody lines, but he still did not fall down. Buzz. Yi Fan chased after him. His left hand formed the sun seal, and his right hand formed the moon seal. A heavenly sun and a bright moon floated in the sky, each emitting a resplendent radiance and emitting heart-palpitating fluctuations. They were both the size of small mountains and they were pushed forward by him. Bang! The sun seal covered the sky, emitting boundless radiance. Yi Fan's left hand heavily slammed down, causing the little Peng King to tumble backwards. A large patch of his messy golden hair was dyed red by the fresh blood he spat out. Pah! The moon seal was in the sky, gentle and dazzling. Yi Fan's right hand slammed down, striking the little Peng King's body. Light surged violently like raging waves beating against the shore. This heavenly Peng King's body was covered in bloody scars, and his joints creaked with gabbing sounds. Its strength was astonishing. I don't believe I can't beat him. Yi Fan shouted loudly. His body shone like a divine body that had been refined 100 times. Enough. Suddenly the little Peng King roared. He was a bit dazed after being struck in the head, but the intense pain woke him up completely. He let out a beast-like roar. As the descendant of the heavenly Peng King, he possessed an astonishing vitality. His eyes were close to madness as tens of thousands of golden feathers rushed out and pierced through the sky like golden spears. It was a killing method that sent chills down one's spine. The countless golden feathers all turned into blazing spears, each of which carried golden flames. The sound of the air being pierced was incessant and all of them stabbed at Yi Fan. It was a killing method that made one feel fear and despair. Dang dang dang! Yi Fan slapped with his golden hand, blocking the golden spears. If it were anyone else, they would have been pierced through and died from blood loss. However, Yi Fan had the sacred body of the ancients, which was even stronger than the heavenly Peng King's body. He forcefully carved out a path among the waves of spears. Moreover, he was not retreating. He was advancing toward the little Peng King, intending to crush him to death. Boom boom boom. Yi Fan struck out all kinds of seals and great killing methods, shattering the spears one after another and pressing toward the little Peng King. Boom. The little Peng King waved his arms, and millions of golden feathers gathered together, forming a golden canopy that pressed down on Yi Fan. It was a giant canopy formed by sharp spears. It was an ultimate killing method and it instantly pressed down, drowning Yi Fan. In the distant sky, the crowd gasped. This birdman is too scary. At the critical moment, all his golden feathers are lethal weapons that can't be guarded against. Only the sacred body of the ancients can block it. If it were someone else, they would have become a porcupine. Tu Fei was frightened. I'm afraid this is just the prelude, Xianxia said in a low voice. Boom. Yi Fan displayed all kinds of attacking methods and all the seals were executed at the same time. He instantly pierced through the golden canopy and shattered it. All of the divine spears shattered, turning into broken feathers that fluttered about as they drifted down. Pieces of broken gold filled the sky. Countless rock feathers danced in the air and fell to the ground. The golden-winged little Peng King's figure became indistinct and disappeared from everyone's sight. Yi Fan stood in the sky and glanced around to guard against the opponent's thunderous attack. The others were also searching, sizing up the surroundings. That birdman spat out so much blood. He must be hurt badly. Did he run away in defeat? Tu Fei mumbled to himself. The others were bewildered as well. All of them had witnessed Yi Fan's attack just now, and if they were to go up and face it with their bodies, they would have been turned into ashes a long time ago. Little Peng King, did you run away because you couldn't defeat him? Yi Fan asked. A heavy snort came from the sky. A golden shadow appeared. The little Peng King sat cross-legged in the sky. Golden light shone from his body and cracking sounds echoed. His bones were shaking. Boom. The monstrous aura shot up to the sky and surged around him like an ocean. He stood up, his eyes filled with wild light. He said coldly, I ran away in defeat? What a joke. It's just the beginning. Everyone was shocked. The little Peng King's aura grew stronger as if he wasn't hurt at all. Monstrous aura rolled behind him. That birdman was suppressed by the sacred body of the ancients, but he wasn't hurt at all. He recovered in such a short time. It's so scary. Tu Fei was shocked. Indeed, the little Peng King has the potential to become an emperor. He can compete with the sacred body of the ancients at the same level. A monster expert was shocked. Qingyi looked surprised and said, can he really walk the path of an emperor? Yen Ruyu also whispered, "Perhaps he has some hope." The little Peng King descended and stood opposite of Yi Fan. At this moment his monstrous aura shot up to the sky, and his murderous aura spread everywhere. 108,000 swords. His voice could pierce through metal and crack rocks, shaking the sky and hurting many people's eardrums. At this moment the murderous aura between heaven and earth was shocking. Beams of sword light shot up to the sky like an endless volcano erupting. The sky was filled with a forest of divine swords. Each of them was dozens of feet long and their edges were cold. They stood upright in the sky, shining with dazzling light and murderous aura. 108,000 swords. Each of them was refined from the feathers of a divine rock, and they were all breathing out dazzling sword chi. They were sharp, dazzling, and intimidating. As far as the eye could see, there were divine swords everywhere. They were burning fiercely, and the murderous aura was frightening. I don't know if the great emperor of the ancients had killed the sacred body of the ancients when he was young. Perhaps I will create a magnificent feat and pave my path to the emperor with the sacred blood. The little Peng King had a muscular body. His golden hair fluttered even though there was no wind, and his eyes were filled with a wild and murderous aura. Yi Fan was in the forest of swords. Facing the endless sword light and feeling the bone-chilling murderous aura, he was not afraid and took out the divine fire cauldron. "I could suppress you in physical combat, and I can still step on you now." Yi Fan looked calm, but he was full of confidence. He held the inch-tall crystal cauldron in his palm. Chapter 260. There were sharp golden divine swords everywhere in the sky. Each of them was spitting out sword light that shot into the sky. This was a frightening sea of swords that stretched as far as the eye could see. Its murderous intent was shocking. 108,000 swords. In the distant sky many people were shocked. Anyone who was trapped in this sword forest would be terrified. This birdman is too terrifying. How did he forge so many swords? Tu Fei felt that something was wrong. Qing Yi's expression changed as well. Looks like the little rock king can't maintain his transcendent state. In a physical battle, he is at a disadvantage, so he has to use the Peng feather swords that he cultivates with his life. These aren't golden feathers that can be shot out casually. They are refined from the feathers of a divine rock. It's one of the strongest killing techniques of the Tianping race. The Peng feather swords have the mark of the race's inheritance. He is the descendant of the old Peng king. It's hard to estimate how powerful he is. Many demonic race cultivators were discussing in low voices. They felt that Yi Fan was in a dangerous situation. What's the big deal? Roast a bird and burn it all. Let's see how arrogant he is then. The large black dog muttered. This crazy birdman is too terrifying. I feel that he is even more uneasy than the wavering light saint's son. Tu Fei said to himself. Luckily, his cultivation level is suppressed to the second sky of the Dao Palace. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yen Ryu's expression was calm as she said, "Once the Peng feather swords are completed, 108,000 divine rock feathers will shoot out at the same time. They can shake the world." He can use his Peng feather swords at such a young age. It is really surprising. In the sky, the little rock king stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His eyes were very sharp, like heavenly swords being unsheathed. The light that shot out was frightening. 1,000 feather swords slash. He shouted, and the 1,000 golden swords in the sky slashed towards the same target. The 1,000 swords attacked, slashing through the sky and drowning Yi Fan underneath. This was an attack that made people shudder. The 1,000 swords shot out at the same time, slashing through the sky. Swish, swish, swish. The dazzling light was as thick as a water bucket and extremely sharp. They rushed over like flood dragons, unstoppable as if they could pierce through the sky. Dang, dang, dang. Yi Fan's every move was the battle saint art, shattering the sword rays one after another. The leaf fire divine cauldron hovered above his head as he lunged at the little Peng king. This was an extremely hair-raising scene. 1,000 feathers and 1,000 swords hacked through heaven and earth, their power astonishing. In the distant sky, the spectators felt a chill run down their spines. Even though they were so far away, they could still feel the terrifying killing intent. The sword beams were as thick as buckets, and the killing intent was boundless, causing them to feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. It was already like this outside the battlefield, let alone inside the forest of swords. It was hard to imagine how much killing intent Yi Fan had to endure. 108,000 swords flew through the air, and every single golden sword exuded a terrifying killing intent. When they gathered together, they formed a terrifying destructive aura. Dang dang, Yi Fan was like a god of war. His entire body was bathed in divine light, causing the sky to tremble. He fought his way through, and although there were thousands of swords slashing at him, they could not stop him at all. The sword auras all over the sky were shattered by him. This was the supreme power of the sacred body of the ancients, which was even stronger than divine weapons. Anything it hit would be destroyed. The little Peng King stood still in the forest of swords. His eyes were filled with boundless killing intent as he shouted, 3,000 swords, chaos the void. Clang, clang, clang. The divine swords chimed together and 3,000 golden swords shot out at the same time. The sword beams intertwined, forming a terrifying inescapable net that was dense and eerie. Even with his sacred body of the ancients, Yi Fan felt as if his body was being torn apart by such a powerful attack. The 3,000 swords struck at the same time, splitting the sky. The sword aura soared into the sky and sent him flying. Chi, chi, chi. The sword beams pierced through the sky like rainbows, one after another. They were endless and the sky was dazzling. Boom. Yi Fan struggled to shatter the thousands of sword auras, then began to activate the divine cauldron of leaf fire. The cauldron quickly enlarged above his head, and the colorful lid flew into the sky with a loud clang. A large amount of black flames rushed out of the cauldron's mouth. Clang, clang, clang. The thousands of swords slashed at him and were instantly covered by the black flames. The scorching temperature was terrifying, and it melted all 1,300 golden swords on the spot. Golden light flickered in the sky, and the golden color slowly dimmed in the black flames. Over 1,000 feathery Peng swords were destroyed and burned to ashes. The little Peng King's golden hair stood on end and danced wildly. His eyes were cold. The destruction of over 1,000 swords made him feel very pained, and he could not help but let out a long roar. What kind of fire is that? How could it be so terrifying? The feathery Peng swords are sharp and unstoppable, yet he burned over 1,000 swords with a single fire. How surprising. Could it be the same kind of fire that burned the supreme elder of the Ji family to death? No, it's not the colorful kind. There wasn't a single spectator whose expression didn't change. The temperature of this kind of fire was so high that it made people's hearts palpitate even though they were so far away. If they were engulfed by it, the consequences would be unimaginable. The leaf flame divine cauldron was sparkling and translucent. It blossomed with prismatic light as it suspended above Yi Fan's head. Raging flames surged and burned fiercely. The black flames even warped the void. His body flickered as he was surrounded by this kind of flame. His battle intent was high as he took steps in the void and pressed forward. The little Peng's expression was cold as he shouted, Peng Feather Regeneration. His entire body was like gold as divine radiance rushed out one after another. The golden swords were completely replenished and became 108,000 swords again. The powerful killing intent condensed together and formed a forest of swords that made people despair. Every single one of the swords clanged and shook the sky. He actually comprehended the Sky Peng race's great killing technique to such a level, reaching the Peng Feather Regeneration and the Undying Sword Intent. 108,000 swords. As long as the sword intent is not extinguished, the divine swords will not be extinguished unless all of the swords are destroyed in one go. In the distance, there wasn't a single person whose expression didn't change. This kind of undying divine sword would give any opponent a headache. They would grow and multiply endlessly, and in the end they would definitely be destroyed. 10,000 swords move at the same time. The little Peng King shouted. Tens of thousands of swords vibrated. The sword energy was dazzling, piercing through the void and creating a formidable sword net in this area. Yi Fan urged the Leaf Fire Divine Furnace, making it more than 100 meters tall and hovering in the sky like a towering mountain. At this moment he didn't need to hold back anymore. The endless black flame shot out everywhere. It was the black flame he had taken from the fallen sun ridge in the absolute beginning Forbidden Land. Although it was just the surface, it still had a terrifying temperature. Boom. The great fire reached the sky. The black divine flame swept everywhere. Tens of thousands of swords were swallowed and burned down slowly. Clang, clang, clang. The little Peng King bloomed with light. Tens of thousands of swords flew out, replenishing the forest of swords. This abnormal monster. Tu Fei was frightened. If it continues like this, the black flame will be exhausted sooner or later. However, his Peng feather swords aren't extinguished. Yi Fan can't imagine the consequences, said Qing Yi. That's not necessarily the case. He's paying a price to regenerate his Peng feathers. If this goes on for a long time, I'm afraid he won't be able to endure it, said Yen Ruyu. 108,000 swords moved at the same time, cutting through the sky and drowning Yi Fan. He used the Lee Fire Divine Furnace to open the way and attacked the little Pen King. Boom. The black flame was monstrous and raged in all directions, rushing toward the swords. 108,000 swords vibrated at the same time. Endless murderous intent rushed out and gathered into a giant divine sword that towered over the clouds. This was the murderous intent of 108,000 swords. Slash. The 1,000-meter-long sword slashed down. The terrifying murderous intent sent chills down Yi Fan's spine. 108,000 swords merged into one, and the murderous intent was boundless. Bang! Yi Fan was sent flying in an instant. Such a killing technique was a terrifying blow to his sacred body of the ancients. What a monster! Is this really a duel between cultivators at the second heaven of the Doctrine Palace? The killing technique of the rock race is frightening. If it weren't for the sacred body of the ancients, I'm afraid that person would have been killed in both body and soul. In the distant sky, the crowd found it difficult to remain calm. Boom! Yi Fan activated the Lee Fire Divine Furnace. Flames burned in all directions, sweeping toward the 108,000 swords. Clang, clang, clang. The golden sword shot out like rainbows and appeared behind the little Pen King, avoiding the flames that filled the sky. Although he had reached the level of rock feather regeneration, he could not withstand such terrifying flames. He did not want to be hurt. The two of them confronted each other. The little Pen King did not expect his talent to be restrained by his opponent. The black flames in his opponent's furnace were a great threat to his Peng feather swords. The sacred body of the ancients can indeed look down on those of the same level. It can even suppress the little Pen King, Tu Fei said happily. Xianxia shook his head and said, "It's still too early to say. The little Pen King has the potential to become a great emperor. No matter how you look at it, he is not much weaker than the sacred body of the ancients. It's just that the weapons are restraining each other. There is still a gap." His physical body was tempered in the 4-level secret realm, Tu Fei said. Is the sacred body of the ancients really that terrifying? Even the one who gave our demon race hope of becoming a great emperor is at a disadvantage when they are at the same level. Several demon cultivators whispered. Boom. All of a sudden, an extremely horrifying murderous aura appeared in the sky. It made one's body and soul tremble involuntarily. It was as if a primordial beast had broken free from its seal and came to this world. Endless murderous aura swept the sky. That is. Everyone was shocked. A pitch-black weapon appeared in the little Pen King's hand. It was eerie and terrifying. The horrifying aura was coming from it. The great desolate halberd. Many people's expressions changed. Some of the lesser demons turned pale and almost knelt on the ground. The weapon made of black metal seemed to have a life of its own. The murderous aura soared into the sky, making one's hair stand on end. It also had a daunting power. It really is the great desolate halberd. It is the demonic weapon that the old Pen King used to kill for his entire life. That's right. It is indeed the great desolate halberd. It has killed countless people. Blood flows like a river and corpses pile up like a mountain. I wonder how many lives have been taken by it. The pitch-black weapon's murderous aura soared into the sky. It flashed with a cold metallic luster. It was like a ferocious wild beast, emitting an extremely horrifying aura. This is not fair. Little Pen King, you have the weapon of a demon giant. How are you going to fight? Tu Fei shouted. Don't worry. It has been sealed, but it still has the power of the Great Desolate. The little Pen King answered indifferently. The Great Desolate halberd was a demonic weapon that a demon master had spent his entire life refining. Although it could not be compared to an extreme weapon, it was still very horrifying. It has indeed been sealed. The old Pen King will not let him rely on a demonic weapon so early. Yin Ryu nodded. No one knew how horrifying the Great Desolate halberd was. Rumor had it that it was as heavy as a mountain. Even cultivators in the 4 levels would find it difficult to hold it. Perhaps only the golden-winged little Pen King and Yi Fan, who had a sacred body of the ancients, could use it at a lower level. The golden-winged little Pen King stood there with the Great Desolate halberd in his hand. His entire body shone like gold. As for the Great Desolate halberd, it was as black as ink. It formed a sharp contrast. The killing intents of the two fused together, rippling like a vast ocean. Behind him, 108,000 great swords stood erect towards the sky. The sword energy shot into the sky, making him look incomparably terrifying. His robust body had a wild killing intent. Boom. Yi Fan summoned his own cauldron. The 2-inch-tall cauldron quickly enlarged to a meter high, replacing the position of the divine fire furnace and suspending above his head. This cauldron was simple and natural. There was no killing intent. It gave off a natural feeling as if it was describing the Tao and truth of the world. Wisps of mysterious yellow light fell from the cauldron, tightly protecting him. It made him look as if he had fused with the great Tao. Chapter 261. The golden-winged little rock king had a vigorous figure. His hair was disheveled and he was filled with a wildness. The pitch-black great desolate halberd in his hands emitted a horrifying infernal energy that blotted out the skies. He stepped forwards in the void, pressing forwards. Bang! The great desolate halberd shook, nearly causing the void to collapse. It was as heavy as a mountain, making one's hair stand on end. It was like an ancient desolate vicious beast that had a life of its own, making one feel dread. Boom! The golden-winged little Peng attacked. His golden hair danced in the wind and his eyebrows shot up. His eyes shined with a cold light as he grasped the great desolate halberd and rushed forwards. It was like he was lifting up a black mountain and chopping down. Yi Fan was as still as a boulder, unmoving like a pine tree. The cauldron above his head was simple and natural, the source energy of all things falling down like silk ribbons, like a curtain of rain, merging his body with the Tao. Boom! The great desolate halberd was far too heavy. As it chopped down, the black halberd twisted the void and a terrifying wave of energy surged forwards. At this time Yi Fan finally moved. With the myriad energy furnace floating above his head, his body was like a flood dragon. He leaned to the side and half-turned, avoiding the black halberd blade. He stretched out his right arm and waved his golden fist, smashing it into the great desolate halberd. Clang! He used his bare hands to forcefully resist the great desolate halberd. His golden fist smashed into the black weapon. The sound of metal breaking stone rang out, causing one's scalp to tingle and their ears to ring. Boom! The great desolate halberd emitted a brutal infernal energy, as if it were a sealed desolate beast. It was indestructible and possessed a demonic nature that made one's heart race. Woo! The golden-winged rock took advantage of this opportunity to slash out. The great desolate halberd was as deep as the sea, shining with a dark light as it cut towards Yi Fan, emitting a strange demonic sound like the wailing of ghosts. Yi Fan moved to the side, avoiding the sharp blade. He formed seals with his hands and struck the great desolate halberd. Clang! The millstone-sized golden palm struck the great desolate halberd. With a loud explosion the entire void darkened. Even space distorted, but the great desolate halberd wasn't damaged at all. The weapon refined by the monster race's overlords was indestructible. Although it was sealed, it was still a rare weapon. It was impossible to break it. The golden-winged little Peng cried out. His golden hair fell down like a waterfall, shining with a strange and enchanting brilliance. He grasped the great desolate halberd and thrust forwards, the pitch-black halberd edge piercing through the world. Woo! The ear-piercing demonic sound sent chills down everyone's spines. Killing intent filled the air, and the hearts of the people in the distant sky trembled. Ping, ding, bang, dang, Yi Fan struck out with his giant golden hand, constantly colliding with the great desolate halberd. Terrifying sounds rang out, as if the two of them were engaged in a life-or-death struggle. The great battle was extremely intense. Yi Fan didn't use his own cauldron at first and fought bare-handed. Mysterious light overflowed in all directions and killing intent surged into the heavens. The great desolate halberd was simply too terrifying. Even though Yi Fan had the sacred body of the ancients, he still felt a sharp pain in his fists. At this point he was still unable to break through the weapon of a monster magnate. They hit the clouds from the sky and dispersed them. Then they landed on the mountain. Bang! The great desolate halberd was as heavy as a mountain. As it slammed into the mountain peak, a corner of the mountain peak collapsed. With a rumbling sound, rocks tumbled down. Dang, Chong, Jing. The two of them fought until they reached the middle of a group of lakes. Suddenly huge waves surged into the sky, and the lake water flowed into the sky, turning into a watery swamp. Bang! Yi Fan punched out, scattering the water vapor in the sky. The great desolate halberd trembled again and again. From the sky to the clouds, to the ground and finally to the sky. The demonic might of the great desolate halberd became increasingly magnificent, as if it could collapse the vault of heaven. Zheng zheng zheng. Suddenly 10,000 swords cried out in unison. Sword energy pierced through the skies. 108,000 swords cried out in unison. Behind the golden-winged little Peng King, 108,000 Peng feather swords shot out. They shined like divine rainbows, emitting a chilling aura that made everyone in the distant sky feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Countless sword energy shot out, sweeping forward to slash at Yi Fan. It was very sudden. The endless killing intent was like a tsunami crashing into the shore. It was difficult to avoid. This was the Sky Rock race's great killing technique. If it were a normal cultivator, they would have been cut to pieces. The endless sword light tore through everything. It was impossible to block. However, Yi Fan had always been on guard. He didn't use the cauldron because he was afraid of being killed. The cauldron hanging above his head trembled. The source energy of all things fell down, forming a dark yellow curtain in front of Yi Fan. Clang, clang, clang. Tens of thousands of sword energy stabbed out. As they struck the silk ribbon of the dark yellow energy, nearly all of them disintegrated. There were some that managed to pass through the cracks, but they were dissolved by Yi Fan's treasure body. Bang! The golden-winged little Peng's eyebrows shot up. He lifted the great desolate halberd high and forcefully chopped down. At this moment, it was like the heavens were falling apart, as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on him. Bang! This was the first time that the great desolate halberd had collided with Yi Fan's cauldron. A deafening sound rang out, causing the void to tremble. A terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. In the distance, many little monsters vomited blood. Their faces paled and many of them fell to the ground. This heaven-shaking strike had even affected them. Roar! The golden-winged little Peng gave a long cry. His hair flew in the air and his aura rose. He grasped the black great desolate halberd in his hands and tore apart the void as he strode forwards. Dang, dang! He grasped the great desolate halberd with both hands and constantly chopped down at the cauldron. His monstrous energy soared to the heavens, shocking the mind and shaking the earth. The golden-winged little Peng was unstoppable. He brandished the great desolate halberd and sent Yi Fan flying several miles away, causing the cauldron formed from all myriad source energy to constantly shake. After he gained momentum, he struck out again, wanting to break through Yi Fan's defense in a single stroke and kill his way in. Now, although the all-myriad source energy had been tempered into a cauldron, it still hadn't formed the mark of the great Tao. It was still far from being an extreme weapon. It was just that it was tough enough. The golden-winged little Peng grasped the great desolate halberd and constantly chopped down. His momentum was monstrous. At the same time, the 108,000 swords behind him shook the heavens and earth, shooting out endless sword lights. In the distant skies, everyone was aghast. Such an offensive was unstoppable. If it were any other Dao Palace Mystic Realm cultivator, it would be impossible for them to block it. They would immediately turn to ash. The great desolate halberd's ominous might shocked the world. A brutal infernal energy flooded every inch of space. In addition to the 108,000 swords moving together, this was a horrifying killing technique. Dang, dang! Yi Fan was sent flying 6 to 7 miles away by the great desolate halberd. The Peng feather sword lights submerged the mysterious yellow energy, forcing him to retreat again and again. The golden-winged little Peng took the initiative and his offensive became even fiercer. He wished he could use the great desolate halberd to chop Yi Fan to death. These two ruthless people can both be kings of the same level. Such a fierce battle has surpassed their realms. The golden-winged little Peng is truly amazing. He is worthy of being called a great emperor. In a sense, this could be considered a qualifying battle for the great emperor's road. The golden-winged little Peng is truly terrifying. If he can really kill a sacred body of the ancients at the same realm, he will definitely become a Fey emperor in the future. The great desolate halberd was the tip, and the 108,000 swords were the support. It shook the heavens and earth. If it were anyone else, they would have already been killed. In the sky, Yi Fan retreated again and again. He was indeed at a disadvantage, but he was still calm. The source root of all energy is mine. I will dye the skies red with the blood of a sacred body of the ancients. The golden-winged little Peng's eyes were filled with a crazed killing intent. The great desolate halberd crushed the void. It was swung down, chopping down at Yi Fan. The 108,000 swords resonated. The main reason Yi Fan couldn't free his hands was because of the Peng feather swords. With the 108,000 swords vibrating together, there would always be tens of thousands of sword lights piercing through. This was an inconceivable divine ability. The Tianping race was blessed by the heavens. As long as such a killing technique was used, even an army of thousands would have to die. It was an indiscriminate attack, much less killing a single person. He didn't summon the fleeting fire divine furnace. The black flames were limited and he didn't want to waste them. This was because his opponent had reached the Peng feather rebirth and the great swords were indestructible. Bleed the sacred blood dry. The golden-winged little Peng shouted. The great desolate halberd came smashing down, causing the void to tremble. The power behind it was even more horrifying. Do you really think you can kill me? Yi Fan was truly enraged. His black hair danced in the wind and his eyes flashed with cold electricity. He punched out at the great desolate halberd. Of course I can kill you. Sacred blood is the taste that I long for. The golden-winged little Peng revealed his wild nature. His killing intent was thick. The great desolate halberd cut down, causing the heavens to tremble. Will you kill me or will I slaughter the heavenly Peng? We will soon find out. Yi Fan shouted out. He picked up the furnace, no longer using it to protect himself. Bang! Yi Fan brought out the furnace. Mysterious yellow light filled the air. The furnace formed from all the source energy suddenly grew to 9 meters high. It was simple and imposing, suppressing the golden-winged little Peng. Without this furnace to protect you, I want to see just how you will block my 108,000 swords. The golden-winged little Peng shouted out. He grasped the all-conquering great desolate halberd and smashed it down at the furnace. Dang! The furnace formed from all the source energy collided with the monster race's great desolate halberd, causing an earth-shaking collision. Bang! A terrifying shockwave swept through the world like a tsunami, rushing out in all directions. In the distant sky, everyone was shocked. Many small monsters vomited blood and staggered back. Clang, 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 the 108,000 swords hummed in unison. Tens of thousands of sword auras rushed out, piercing towards Yi Fan. The world trembled. Yi Fan wanted to hold back, but the golden-winged little Peng was so powerful that he could compete with the sacred body of the ancients. He had no choice but to show his trump card. He had to show what he had and suppress the opponent. He quickly made up his mind. There was still one secret among the 9 secrets that he had yet to reveal, but he decided to keep it. It was a great secret that he could not reveal at the moment. Everyone knew that he had the sacred body of the ancients, so they must have some understanding of the records and legends of this physique. It would be difficult to hold back in this aspect. Yi Fan let out a soft shout. His body trembled and his body flickered. The shadow of a green lotus appeared beside him. The 108,000 swords were blocked by the 3-leaf green lotus, and all the sword auras were shattered. This is. The golden-winged little Peng's expression froze, but he immediately let out a long roar. Tens of thousands of sword auras crisscrossed and pierced forward. The sky was filled with divine light. The green lotus swayed and propped up a curtain of light. The sword auras attacked and hit the surface. It seemed like it could shatter at any time, but it could not penetrate. As expected, how can the sacred body of the ancients only have a tyrannical body? It is said that it can restrain strange phenomena. This is most likely one of the talents of the sacred body of the ancients. At that moment Yi Fan moved. He did not want to be beaten passively. This green lotus was very mysterious and he had yet to figure it out. In the companion sea of reincarnation. Clang, 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 tens of thousands of swords slashed and the green lotus swayed. The curtain of light was hazy, and it seemed like it could shatter at any time. However, it did not extinguish. Yi Fan rushed forward and attacked. The cauldron forged from the source energy of all things fell and began to suppress the great desolate halberd. Clang. The 2 weapons collided and the sound was deafening, spreading for dozens of miles. Mysterious yellow gas fell from the 9-meter-tall cauldron. It was as heavy as a mountain, constantly pressing down. The golden-winged little Peng held the great desolate halberd and chopped down at the cauldron. The ferocious might of the 2 weapons violently collided. The cauldron was like a divine mountain, and the great desolate halberd was like a demonic mountain. Brilliant sparks flew out as if a comet had struck the earth. Endless turbulence surged out in all directions. Clang, 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 a needle against an awn, a divine mountain against a demonic mountain. Yi Fan blocked the 108,000 great swords and concentrated on fighting the golden-winged little Peng that wielded the great desolate halberd. The 2 of them had similar mortal body strengths and each had heaven-shaking methods. After fighting for so long, victory and defeat would soon be decided. After several hundred exchanges and over 1,000 collisions, the golden-winged little Peng's complexion became ugly. He felt his arms go numb and he couldn't hold onto the great desolate halberd any longer. The 9-meter-tall cauldron weighed more than 100,000 genes and possessed the might of thunder. Every time it pressed down, his body would violently shake. The great desolate halberd could withstand it, but the golden-winged little Peng couldn't. His opponent's supernatural power grew endlessly, as if it would never dry up. This left him startled. At this moment, Yi Fan reached out his hand and grabbed the cauldron. He no longer used his divine sense to stimulate it, but directly smashed it down. Yi Fan grabbed the cauldron and smashed it down, sending the golden-winged little Peng flying away on the spot. After fighting for so long, both of them were exhausted. However, Yi Fan was stronger by a head. His supernatural power continued to flow. He grabbed the cauldron and pressed it down again, striking the great desolate halberd. An earth-shattering sound rang out. The golden-winged little Peng was sent flying away. Blood flowed from his mouth and nose. Even with his strong physique, he couldn't withstand this kind of crazy power. Yi Fan followed up. He grabbed the cauldron and struck again with the force of Mount Tai. The golden-winged little Peng spat out a mouthful of blood. His body flipped over and blood stained the sky. He could barely hold onto the great desolate halberd. The golden-winged little Peng, who had hopes of walking on the road of the great emperor, was actually defeated. The insufferably arrogant golden-winged little Peng will be suppressed. The sacred body of the ancients lives up to its legend. It is an invincible legend. Unfortunately, it can only advance to the Dao Palace mystic realm. In the distant sky, everyone was shocked. They all had different feelings as they discussed in low voices. Beat that birdman to the ground. Isn't he arrogant? Break his bones. Tu Fei yelled. He felt like he had vented his anger. Set a fire. Roast a bird. That's my favorite. The big black dog yelled as well. Beside them, many demons revealed killing intent. This was their territory. No matter what the golden-winged little Peng did, he was still one of them. Moreover, he was a king with limitless potential who could suppress his peers. It was understandable that he couldn't defeat the sacred body of the ancients. No matter how strong Yi Fan was, he could only advance to the Dao Palace mystic realm. It would be impossible for him to compete with the golden-winged little Peng in the future. As for this little king of the demons, no one would be able to stop him in the future. He would walk on the road of the great emperor. In the sky, the battle had reached its final stage. The two of them had fought fiercely for such a long time that they couldn't take it anymore. However, Yi Fan's divine power suddenly boiled. His body shone brightly. He held the cauldron and carried out the final suppression. Ping ping. After 9 consecutive strikes, he held the cauldron in his hand and smashed it down 9 times. With a final loud shout, the great desolate halberd was sent flying. The golden-winged little Peng's arms went numb. They drooped powerlessly and fell to the ground. Golden Peng blood dyed his body red. The Peng's body trembled from the impact. Golden-winged little Peng, are you convinced? Yi Fan rushed over and pressed down with the cauldron. His hair was a mess and divine light bloomed in his eyes. His aura was unstoppable. The golden-winged little Peng was sent flying. He let out a shrill cry and turned into a golden Peng dozens of meters long, revealing his true form. Whoosh! Yi Fan used the footwork of Crazy Ol and rushed up in an instant. He stood on the true form of the Peng that seemed to be cast from gold. He held the cauldron in his left hand and punched with his right fist. Chapter 262. The great desolate halberd was pitch black, cold, and as heavy as a mountain. Even a cultivator of the 4 extreme mystic realms would find it difficult to hold it in their hands. At this moment he fell from the sky and sank into a cliff, causing dust to rise up into the sky. Gotcha. Everyone was dumbfounded. The pitch-black great desolate halberd had smashed into the stone cliff, causing smoke and dust to soar into the sky. Boulders tumbled down with loud rumbling sounds. The legends are true. Even cultivators from the 4 extreme mystery realms might not be able to hold it in their hands. I didn't expect it to be so heavy. Just how heavy is the great desolate halberd to be able to knock down a cliff several dozen meters high? Everyone was shocked. It wasn't that a cultivator had chopped down the cliff, but that the great desolate halberd had freely fallen down and crushed down the cliff. It was not a massive object, but a weapon held in one's hand. Everyone could not help but sigh in admiration at the Tianping race's strength. They were able to hold such a heavy object in their hands. The golden-winged little Peng King's true body was dozens of meters long. It was golden and dazzling. As it flapped its wings, a strong wind blew. At this moment, Yi Fan arrived on its back and attacked fiercely. The huge golden bird's body shook violently. Boom! The 9-meter-tall cauldron pressed down. Golden feathers fluttered in the air. Even the powerful little Peng King's true body could not withstand it. Its entire body flickered with golden light, shooting out tens of thousands of sword chi, wanting to cut down Yi Fan, but now it was already exhausted, and Yi Fan was protected by the cauldron and the green lotus at the same time, so it couldn't cut him down at all. I don't believe that I can't destroy your body. Yi Fan did not activate his spiritual sense. He only used the cauldron to attack, causing the heavenly rock true body to let out a long cry. Its feathers were like streaks of golden light, dancing chaotically in the air. Bang! Yi Fan held the cauldron and continuously struck the heavenly rock true body's back, attacking the same spot. The sound of bones breaking rang out. Golden-winged little Peng King spurted out a large mouthful of blood. 2 of the bones on his back were broken. I'm going to kill you. The killing intent in his eyes was boundless. Golden light shone brilliantly. He transformed into a human form and struggled with all his might to break free from the entanglement. Boom. Yi Fan sat on his back and stuck to him. He raised his hand and smashed the cauldron on his head. Even someone as powerful as the little Peng King was struck dumb. He felt as if the world was spinning and his ears were ringing. Boom. Yi Fan did not want the little Peng King to wake up. Another cauldron smashed down, causing the little Peng King to feel dizzy. Like a drunkard, the little Peng King tumbled in the air. However, he was a young expert in the end. Ever since he started cultivating, he had been unrivaled among those of the same cultivation level and had never tasted defeat. His combat strength was shocking. Ah, he let out a loud cry. His golden hair danced as he tried to break free from Yi Fan. Sword chi surged into the sky as he resisted fiercely. Bang, bang, Yi Fan continued to punch the little Peng's head, neck and back. Golden wing little Peng spat out a mouthful of blood and rolled on the ground. In the distant sky, everyone was tongue-tied. The insufferably arrogant little Peng King was being ridden on by someone. This kind of scene was hard to imagine, but it happened right before their eyes. Bang, bang. Yi Fan sat on the little Peng King's body and continuously threw punches. The little Peng King's hair was disheveled, his nose was bruised and his face was swollen. Blood splashed everywhere. Everyone was a bit dumbfounded. The dignified little Peng King was actually beaten up by someone and fell into such a state. Enough, it's time to end the battle. In the distant sky, a demonic cultivator said in a deep voice. Your Highness, tell him to stop. Another person also spoke. They were both demonic cultivators that followed the little Peng King. Yes, let the battle end like this. Even the demonic cultivator beside Qingyi said the same. Yen Ryu nodded. At this point there was no need to continue. Victory and defeat were almost decided. The little Peng King was the descendant of the Sky Peng race's king. If he really died here, it would be an extremely serious problem. Who said I lost? It's not over yet. The little Peng King shouted angrily. Golden light rushed into the sky from his entire body. He shook his body fiercely and sent Yi Fan flying. This is the Peng seizing dragon technique. Someone cried out in surprise. Isn't this kind of sacred killing technique only available in the 4 extreme secret realms and above? *T, did this crazy birdman remove his seal? Does he want to kill Yi Fan shamelessly? Tu Fei was startled. Dragon seizing dragon technique, I see it again. *T, I'm so angry. The big black dog mumbled as if he had recalled something from the past. When the Peng seizing dragon technique turned into a picture, it was also called the dragon fighting picture. Boom. The golden divine flame burned around the little Peng King's body, and the dragon fighting picture appeared behind him. A golden divine bird, the rock, was entangled with a true dragon. They were clearly visible, releasing a supreme pressure that could shake people's souls. Everyone in the distant sky was frightened. Your Highness, please stop it. That crazy birdman removed his seal. He didn't keep his promise. Tu Fei shouted. Yen Ryu shook her head and said, his seal won't be removed within 2 hours. Xianxia nodded and said, the little Peng King didn't remove his seal. Instead, he used a secret technique to activate the Peng seizing dragon technique. This kind of supreme secret technique is the most terrifying. It's the top secret of the rock race. It can be called a killing technique or a vision, the big black dog muttered to himself. The little Peng King was like a god, shining brightly. The dragon fighting picture appeared behind him, and a terrifying pressure rushed toward Yi Fan like a vast ocean. To think that I, the Golden Peng King, have never tasted defeat since I started my cultivation, yet you beat me into such a sorry state. Even if you have the sacred body of the ancients, I will still kill you today. His expression was cold and his hair was stained with blood. His eyes were terrifying. The little Peng King's body was golden, and the flames burned even brighter. Even his eyes turned golden as he threw a punch. The rock's roar shook the sky. Behind him, the golden rock was vivid and lifelike. It flew out and turned into a bolt of lightning, pouncing toward Yi Fan. Behind the rock was a true dragon. The terrifying aura and supreme pressure made people tremble uncontrollably, making them want to kneel. Damn, it really is the heavenly Peng fighting dragon picture. The big black dog gritted his teeth. Boom. Beside Yi Fan, the green lotus appeared and swayed, creating a screen of light that protected him inside. The golden rock spread its claws and swung its golden wings. The true dragon coiled its body, trying to crush Yi Fan. However, something shocking happened. The rock and the true dragon suddenly disappeared when they were a few meters away from Yi Fan. They disappeared without a trace. The little Pen King's body shook violently, and the dragon fighting picture reappeared behind him. The rock's body and the true dragon faced each other. They were vivid and lifelike, and their pressure was terrifying. What happened? What happened just now? Why did the dragon fighting picture fly out, disappear all of a sudden, and return behind the little Pen King? The sacred body of the ancients can resist visions, and the dragon fighting picture can also be called a vision. It was suppressed. How is this possible? The dragon fighting picture was invincible in the ancient times, and it was very difficult to suppress it. Everyone was shocked. This was a confrontation between the extreme constitutions of two great races. Yi Fan was very calm and said, "Your vision is ineffective against me. The dragon fighting picture is both a vision and a killing technique." The little Pen King gritted his teeth and activated his divine power. The dragon fighting picture became even more terrifying, and the rock and the true dragon seemed to have really descended into the world. Then the rock disappeared into his right hand, and the true dragon disappeared into his left. One could vaguely see a rock and a dragon coiled around his hands. The vision has disappeared. This is the supreme rock-seizing dragon technique. The little Pen King shouted and charged forward with his bare hands. Boom! The rock and the true dragon were faintly discernible in the hands of the little Pen King. It was as if they could shatter a mountain, and they slammed toward Yi Fan. The aura of the rock and the true dragon was terrifying. Crack! Below, a mountain was hit, and the plants on it were all turned into ashes. Rocks flew into the sky, and the peak of the mountain was almost crushed. Bang! Yi Fan used the battle saint technique to resist. His golden fist hit the rock and the dragon. The energy waves between the two were so strong that they were blown away. In the sky far away, everyone was frightened. If they were hit by such a supreme secret technique, they would be turned into ashes for sure. Swoosh! Yi Fan flew back. His expression was calm. A large golden hand slapped out, striking forward. Pah! The little Pen King was slapped away, and he couldn't use the supreme rock-seizing dragon technique. What's going on? That birdman's terrifying aura made people shudder. Why did it disappear all of a sudden? Tu Fei was bewildered. Yes, I understand. The supreme rock-seizing dragon technique can only be used in the 4 extreme secret realms. It's good enough that he could use it once, Xianxia said. His first attack couldn't do anything to the sacred body of the ancients, so he can't use it a second time. His divine power is exhausted. Yen Ryu nodded. If he used the supreme rock-seizing dragon technique in the 4 extreme secret realms, how terrifying would it be? Tu Fei was frightened. Yi Fan dashed past and hit the little Pen King's face with his golden fists, sending the latter flying backward while coughing out blood. In an instant, Yi Fan caught up with him and hit the little Pen King's body with a series of heavy punches. I want to see how many punches it takes to break your bones. Yi Fan swung his golden fists and hit the same spot. After 9 consecutive punches, the little Pen King's sternum made a cracking sound. It was finally broken. He didn't stop there and continued to hit other parts of the body. Soon he found that the bones of the little Pen King would break after 7 to 9 punches. So that's how it is. Yi Fan was very surprised. He found out that the little Pen King not only had an extremely strong physique, but he also had the rock resurrection technique. It was this kind of innate divine technique that made the little Pen King's resistance so strong that it was a complete mess. The little Pen King roared. The murderous intent in his eyes didn't diminish. Even under such circumstances he still fought back. Bang! Yi Fan's cauldron hit the little Pen King's head and knocked him out completely. At this point, even though the little Pen King was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. His divine power was exhausted and he passed out. Pop! Yi Fan kept hitting hard to explore the mysteries of the rock race's body. In just a moment he had thrown more than 100 punches and found out which parts were the toughest and which were the weakest. Kacha kacha. All of this happened in an instant. The sound of bones breaking was so loud that it was too late for the crowd to stop it. Stop! A monster shouted. The little Pen King had the hope of becoming a great emperor. If he was crippled by the sacred body of the ancients, it would be an immeasurable loss. The battle is over. Stop now, even Xianxia said. He didn't want to cause chaos. Bang, bang, Yi Fan threw more than 300 punches. More than 40 bones in the little Pen King's body were broken. Even his jaw was broken. He knew that he couldn't kill the little Peng King. Otherwise it would be a disaster and the monsters would not let it go. Therefore he didn't kill. He was very careful with his attacks and only wanted to find out more about the rock's bones. When the crowd rushed over, the little Peng King's 50th bone was broken. The powerful body was almost smashed to pieces. "Why didn't you stop just now?" a monster cultivator asked. "Little Peng King, are you okay?" Someone shook his body. "It's okay. His life is not in danger." Yen Ryu was as beautiful as a fairy from the Moon Palace. Her white clothes fluttered as she looked at the crowd, calming them down. The little Peng King was defeated. The sacred body of the ancients is daunting. It's a pity that he can only go in the Holy Palace secret realm and can never regain his former glory. Many people present shook their heads. Everyone looked at Yi Fan strangely. After all, there were rumors that the little Peng King had a chance to walk on the path of a monster emperor. But such a young monarch of the monster race had been defeated by someone of the same cultivation realm as him. His physical body was almost in tatters. If Yi Fan could enter the 4-level secret realm, it would be equivalent to defeating the little Peng King in the Great Emperor qualification battle. "It's a pity that he can never enter the 4-level secret realm," someone sighed. Although the little Peng King lost to the sacred body of the ancients at the same level, his path to the emperor is unimpeded. This battle might be a good thing for him. Although the sacred body of the ancients lives up to the legend and continues to write the legend of invincibility, it's a pity that he has reached the end and there is no way forward. Chapter 263. Yi Fan didn't mind their words. His joints cracked and his body glowed with precious light. He had recovered his energy after fighting with the little Eagle King. He was exhausted. Not long after, his eyes sparkled. His body was spotless and his divine power surged. He had completely recovered. The little Eagle King was exhausted, but many people were frightened. They were astounded. Yi Fan walked to the side. Tu Fei and the big black dog were talking about something. The Great Desolate Halberd is a demon weapon forged by a giant of the monster clan. It's a rare treasure. Even though it's sealed, it still has such power. Go and pick it up. The big black dog was urging Tu Fei. Why don't you go and pick it up? Tu Fei squinted at him. The Great Desolate Halberd was the weapon of the king of the Sky Rock race. It was passed down to the little Eagle King. It was buried under the cliff, so no one dared to steal it. Only the big black dog had bad thoughts. He urged Tu Fei to steal it. "I have the scripture of void. Go and get it without anyone knowing. Then I'll teach you the supreme secret technique," the big black dog said seriously. "Damn it. You damn dog, you're too evil. Even if you want to harm me, you can't be so obvious." Tu Fei was enraged. "Why would I lie to you? I'll give you some benefits first. I'll recite a part of the scripture of void for you. Listen carefully." The big black dog recited the part of Yi Fan's scripture of void with a solemn face. "Don't listen to him. This damn dog is the most dishonest one. He always wants to get something for nothing." Yi Fan walked over. "Kid, I haven't settled the score with you yet. How dare you say to close the door and release the dog?" The big black dog bared his teeth. "Behave yourself. Don't make trouble." Yi Fan sent him a message secretly. "Don't forget why you came here." Boom. Suddenly, a demonic energy shot up into the sky. Golden light dazzled the eyes. The little Eagle King woke up. With a long cry, he turned into the true form of a golden bird that was dozens of meters long. He spread his wings and soared into the sky. "Brother Peng, don't be agitated. Your body has been injured and you need to rest." Qingyi transmitted sound, fearing that he would explode with rage and do something extreme. This crazy birdman. How could his body be so strong? He can still fly even though he has so many broken bones. Tu Fei was startled, looking at the sky. At this moment, the seal on the little Peng King had been removed. As a cultivator of the 4 ultimate secret realms, the aura he emitted was terrifying. His injuries were indeed severe. His body swayed and he almost fell down. The Peng figure flickered and he turned into human form. His face was gloomy as he swept his eyes over the land below. "Little Peng King, how do you feel? Hurry up and find a place to recuperate and heal your wounds," one of the Yao cultivators advised. Golden-winged little Peng King had a robust body. His golden hair fluttered even though there was no wind. His eyes were extremely sharp as he stared coldly at Yi Fan. Then, with a wave of his hand, the great desolate halberd that had fallen to the bottom of the cliff turned into a beam of dark light that shot into the skies, returning to his hand. Many people felt their hearts tighten. Xianxia asked, "Golden-winged little Peng King, what are you doing?" The golden-winged little Peng King didn't say anything. He glanced at Yi Fan and then turned into a beam of golden light that shot into the horizon, disappearing without a trace. Not long after, a small monster came to report that the golden-winged little Peng King had left this space. The great battle had finally come to an end. The monster cultivators gradually dispersed. Yi Fan and Tu Fei returned to Xianxia's mansion. Although you defeated the golden-winged little Peng King, you shouldn't stay here for too long. There must be many people coveting your furnace, Tu Fei said in a low voice. Yi Fan was well aware that after the matter with the golden-winged little Peng King, others might not come here openly, but staying here for too long would be dangerous. I know. He nodded. He had to solve Pang Bo's matter in the shortest time possible. Not long after, Yen Ruyu appeared in Xianxia's mansion. She also hinted to Yi Fan that he shouldn't stay here for too long. Princess Yen, I believe you must be able to guess the reason why I've come here. Yi Fan was so serious. I only have one request. I want to see Pang Bo. It's been so many years since we parted. I haven't seen him yet. I'm afraid it's not possible. He can't get out of his seclusion for 3 months. We can't disturb him now. Yen Ryu shook her head. Yi Fan was startled. Time was tight. After 3 months, the real Pang Bo would not be in this world anymore. You mean, the one in the Immortal Hall? Xianxia was surprised. Yen Ryu nodded and didn't say more. The Immortal Hall? Is it the ancient hall that the Blue Flood Dragon King got? Tu Fei was surprised. It seemed the people here didn't want to talk about this topic. They just nodded, but no one explained in detail. Little brother Yi, if you want to stay here you can come to my mansion, said Yen Ryu. She used her white hand to comb her long hair. Her delicate face was flawless. Yi Fan understood that she meant well. She was afraid that he would be schemed against and that the source root of all beings would be stolen. Thus she invited him there. I can't ask for more. Thank you, Fairy Yen, for your kindness. Tu Fei agreed on her behalf. Then I will have to trouble Princess Yen. Yi Fan nodded. The big black dog was quiet, but a light flashed in his eyes. He came here for the ancient scriptures. Entering the mansion of the Monster King's descendant was exactly what he wanted. The small worlds created by the ancient sages were all different. Some were lifeless, while others were full of vitality. The small ones were dozens of feet wide, while the big ones were hundreds of miles wide. The small world that the Blue Flood Dragon King found was more than 200 miles wide. It was vast. After he entered, many members of the monster clan gathered here. In fact, after the monster clan transformed into humans, they weren't much different from humans. Even their living habits were similar. There was a monster city in this small world. It wasn't big, but it was bustling. People sold spiritual medicines, precious chi source, and traded materials for weapons. Yen Ryu's cave residence had a beautiful scenery. It was situated in a beautiful mountain range around a dozen miles away from the monster city. The silver waterfalls were like a chain, and the grass and trees were luxuriant. Each mountain peak had a palace and many empty buildings. It wasn't a problem to arrange a place for them to stay. They had special small monsters to take care of them. Yi Fan chose a quiet place. The pine forest on this mountain peak was like a painting. The palace was hidden in the middle of the forest. Spring water was murmuring. They walked around and landed at the foot of the mountain. What kind of place is the Immortal Palace? When no one was around, Yi Fan asked Tu Fei. It's an ancient palace left by the ancient sages. The Blue Flood Dragon King got it. Cultivating there can slow down the aging of one's lifespan. It has the magical effect of immortality. Really? Yi Fan was surprised. At the same time, his heart shuddered. Didn't this property provide the other existence in Pang Bo's body with the hope of surviving? The Immortal Palace is mysterious indeed. The Blue Flood Dragon King has been trying to understand the complicated patterns on it to obtain the secret of immortality. This is a priceless treasure. The big black dog's eyes brightened. Carve the patterns on it. It will be useful in the future. Go away. Tudazue was still worried about being bitten by a dog. Damn kid, you better respect me. In the future, you'll have to beg me, the big black dog said with a dark face. Yi Fan quickly interrupted them. Otherwise, a fight between a man and a dog would ensue. Where is the Immortal Palace? Can you take me to see it? Tu Fei was startled. Little Yi, what do you want to do? Don't try anything funny. That's the Blue Flood Dragon King's treasure. You'll cause a big disaster. Don't worry. I won't mess around. Yi Fan smiled. Tu Fei was worthy of his big mouth. He couldn't control his mouth and told Shi Yan about the Immortal Palace. He pointed at the sky and said, Do you see those clouds? The Immortal Palace is floating above them. The Immortal Palace. Yi Fan was surprised. It won't sink. It's very mysterious. It's the palace left by the ancient sages. Tu Dezue couldn't hide anything. Yi Fan understood the details. He rubbed his chin and didn't say anything else. Little Yi, don't mess around. Tu Fei warned him. Although this world was a space opened up by the ancient sages, there was still day and night. After a pearl of fire that had been artificially refined into a flame sunk, it became night. Late at night, Yi Fan and the big black dog quietly gathered together. They then flew to the sky and watched the ancient palace floating above the clouds. This was a very ancient palace. It was a little dilapidated. Around it, many meteorites quietly floated. It was very strange. Did you see anything? Yi Fan asked in a low voice. It's not good. I don't know what's inside the ancient palace, but there are 18 layers of restrictions outside, and they are covered with dense Dao patterns. Yi Fan frowned. This was not good news. The big black dog continued, look at those clouds. The floating meteorites are very strange. They are carved with very powerful Dao patterns. Only powerful warriors can break them. So we can't get in? Who am I? There are no Dao patterns that I can't break. The big black dog said proudly. You are bragging. I wonder who was trapped in the broken cloud mountain for 18 years and almost became black soil. When the large black dog heard this, a resentful expression instantly appeared on his face and he said, don't mention those old and useless things. Can you really break these 18 layers of restrictions? Yi Fan didn't believe him. After the experience at the Jade Lake, he felt the big black dog was not reliable. I've seen these restrictions before. I know how to break them. The only problem is that I need some materials. What materials do you need? What plan do you have? Yi Fan asked. I need some precious materials to carve some Dao patterns and break the restrictions here. The big black dog listed a long list of materials. That's difficult. Where can we find them? If you don't have materials, it's fine if you have enough source. How many source? At least a few cubic meters, the big black dog said indifferently. 1 cubic meter is 3,300 kilograms. A few cubic meters? You make it sound easy. Don't you have 2 cubic meters? It should be enough if you use them sparingly. Stupid dog, after all this, you want the source on me? In such an important place, they didn't dare to act rashly. Without full confidence, they wouldn't enter the old palace. In the dead of night, when Yi Fan returned to his room, he sensed someone in the room. Who is it? A bell-like laughter traveled over and a sweet fragrance wafted over. It was a woman. The candlelight flickered, and a familiar figure walked over gracefully. Her long dress trailed on the ground, and a pair of slender legs could be faintly seen. Her waist was round and slender, and her arms were half-naked, pink and translucent. Her hair fell over her shoulders and she had a charming face. She was very enchanting with curves that could be described as devilish. She had the face of an angel, and there was a red mole between her eyebrows that shone with a divine glow. It's you? Yi Fan recognized her at first glance. She was the seductive Qin Yao. Qin Yao smiled lightly and her eyes moved alluringly. She said, why aren't you in your room so late at night? Where did you go? I went for a walk in the pine forest. Lies. Little guy, you came here with evil intentions. Yi Fan laughed loudly and said, I came to fulfill my promise. I came for a massacre. What do you know, little brat? Qin Yao was a real seductress. She rolled her eyes at him and she was very charming. Chapter 264. Can I take it as you encouraging me to put it into action? Yi Fan said with a smile, his eyes slightly aggressive. Outside the window, ancient pines stood tall and clear springs flowed. It was very tranquil. Candlelight flickered in the room and Qin Yao sat on a rattan chair. Her silk dress outlined her alluring curves. Her eyes were like water and she said, don't change the subject. Where did you go just now? You don't even trust your old lover and you doubt me like this. It really hurts me. Yi Fan pulled a rattan chair over and sat beside her. You're just a little brat, old lover? Qin Yao laughed softly. Her white arms were half naked and her skin was sparkling. She combed her hair and said, how did you come to the north region? The people from the Yaoguang Holy Land kindly sent me here. I searched for your whereabouts non-stop, and finally found the Blue Flood Dragon King's secluded residence. Qin Yao rolled her eyes at him and said, you haven't grown up, but your mouth has become slippery. You have to have confidence in your own charm. Yi Fan stretched lazily on the rattan chair and said, it's late. Let's go rest. Qin Yao smiled and her sexy red lips shone with a seductive luster. She reached out a jade-like hand to pinch Yi Fan's cheek and said, little brat, Don't change the subject with such a glib tongue. Yi Fan grabbed that smooth jade-like hand and pulled her in front of him. He said, "You don't believe me even when I'm telling the truth? My eyes are blinded." At this moment, the large black dog opened the bead curtain and just happened to walk in. Seeing this scene, he mumbled, "I didn't see anything. You guys continue." After saying this, he raised his bald tail and swaggered out. Qin Yao slapped away Yi Fan's hand, turned around lightly, and sat back on the rattan chair, laughing non-stop. Such a good atmosphere was ruined by this damn dog. This guy is taking revenge on me. Yi Fan shook his head and said angrily, "Good your head." Qin Yao yawned delicately and said, "You really made a name for yourself today. You even broke dozens of bones of the arrogant little Peking. You really dared to do it." "Why not? If I didn't go all out, I would have been the one dead," Yi Fan said indifferently and took a sip of the tea on the table. The little Peking is such a character that he has never been defeated since he started. Yet, he was suppressed by the sacred body of the sacred body of the sacred body. Your name must be spread and be known by many. At this point, Qin Yao shook her head slightly and said, "It's a shame that you have the sacred body of the ancients. You can only go further in the holy palace. Otherwise, your future would be limitless. Nothing is absolute. Who knows, I might be able to break the curse and enter the 4 extreme mystic realms," Yi Fan casually said. "You should be more realistic. Even the families of the clan of the ancients can't afford to raise a sacred body. You don't have any background and you're cultivating alone. You know a lot about the sacred body of the ancients. Can you tell me more?" Yi Fan asked. Qin Yao's black hair was loose, covering half of her snow-white neck. Her pretty face was pink and she said, "I don't know much about this type of body, but I've seen another sacred body of the ancients. I'm not sure if it would be of help to you." "What?" When Yi Fan heard this, he jumped up. He was extremely shocked. "It's just a corpse." Qin Yao's hair was like a waterfall, and her skin was whiter than snow. Her waist twisted like a water snake and she yawned and said, "We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to bed now." "Goddess Qin Yao, you can't just say half of it. Where is the corpse of the sacred body of the ancients?" Qin Yao stood up and stretched lazily. She yawned and said, "Right here in this little world." Chapter 265. The fact that there was the remains of a sacred body of the ancients in this small world deeply surprised Yi Fan, which made him think of many things. He said, "Take me there." "Come on, it's the middle of the night. Why are we going to see a corpse? Even if you don't find it weird, I find it depressing." Qin Yao twisted her slender waist as she walked out of the room. She was like a snake belle. She looked extremely alluring. "When can you take me there?" Yi Fan gradually calmed down. "That corpse is not something you can see just because you want to. Unless Princess Yin goes with you, you won't be able to see it." Qin Yao stopped. "What?" Yi Fan asked. Qin Yao's hair was loose, her skin was pink, and her expression was delicate. She glanced at him and said, "The corpse of the sacred body of the ancients is rare in this world in terms of toughness. It can be refined into a great weapon and is very precious. Now that it's in the treasury, ordinary people will naturally not be able to see it. Moreover, the sacred body of the ancients has many secrets." This, refining the sacred body of the ancients into a weapon. Yi Fan rubbed his chin, feeling a little uncomfortable. "Are you afraid now? You'd better be careful. Although you're only in the Holy Ji Palace secret realm, judging from your performance during the day, your body is already strong enough. It's even tougher than a divine weapon, making it an excellent material for crafting." Damn it. Yi Fan could not help but curse. He thought of the problems he might face in the future, where even his body might be coveted by others. Qin Yao teased, "That's why I said you're still worth a lot of money now. If you really can't do it, you can sell your body. I'm sure someone will be willing to pay a high price for it." "Why would I sell my body? If you want it, I'll take a little loss and marry you," Yi Fan teased. "Can you let me craft something?" Qin Yao retorted. "You're too ruthless. Otherwise, what use would I have for it?" Yi Fan put on a straight face and asked, "Where was this sacred body found?" "I found it in this small world. When you have time, I can ask the princess to take you there." Qin Yao yawned and covered her mouth with her hand. "All right, I'm going to sleep. I have space here. The bed is big enough." Yi Fan crossed his arms and smiled. "Go to hell, little brat." Qin Yao rolled her eyes at him. Twisting her beautiful body, she gracefully left. Early in the morning, a ball of fire slowly rose from the east, sprinkling down the morning glow. Yi Fan couldn't find Qin Yao. He called Tu Fei and asked him to go to Monster City. I say, little Yi, why are you running around for no reason? You are a piece of fat meat now. Aren't you afraid that some old demon will be thinking about you? I want to collect some refining materials and forge my own weapon, Yi Fan replied. Tu Fei rolled his eyes. Don't you have a cauldron? Why do you need to forge weapons? Many people are jealous now. Do you think I can take it out and use it so casually? You don't need to be in such a hurry, right? Tu Fei was suspicious. Take me there quickly. I also want to see what Monster City looks like. Yi Fan called the big black dog. This time he was going to collect materials to break the Immortal Hall. Monster City wasn't big, but it was bustling. When the sun rose high in the sky, Yi Fan and the others entered the city. There were many shops on both sides of the street. Most of them sold spiritual medicines and weapons. There were many monster cultivators around. In the city there were many strange people. For example, some had horns on their heads, some had wings on their ribs, and some had tails. Many monster cultivators kept some of their race's characteristics and didn't transform into human shapes. Three-legged golden toad. The big black dog stared at a monster cultivator not far from them and mumbled, "Its blood is good for refining medicine." Damn it, don't think about it. This is Monster City. Your words will cause public anger, Tu Fei scolded. Who do you think I am? Why would I want it? I just said it casually. Speaking of which, if it's used to refine medicine, Sky Rock's blood is better. Don't be cocky. Behave yourself, Yi Fan warned. What materials do you want? Tu Fei asked. Star Stone, Dark Ice Jade, Divine Blood Soil. Yi Fan listed a long list of names. They were all provided by the big black dog. I say, little Yi, what materials are these? They are all rare and strange. It's not easy to find them. Tu Fei shook his head. They aren't top-grade materials. I should be able to find them in Monster City, Yi Fan said. They walked along the street and asked one shop after another. In the end, they only found a dozen materials. However, the big black dog listed 36 materials. The difference was huge. This is the Blue Flood Dragon King's place of seclusion. Monster City can't even find these materials. Yi Fan didn't understand. The key is that the materials you listed are too rare. They are not used normally. Of course it's hard to find them. Speaking of this, Tu Fei seemed to remember something. He said, oh right, there is a place in the city that we haven't visited yet. It's a free trading area. There are many rare and strange things there. Okay, let's go there. This free trading area was in the northern part of Monster City. There were many people here. It was similar to a human market. Many people came here to look for treasures. There were many stalls selling all kinds of rare and strange materials. This is a scam. They just dug up an old tree root and they dare to sell it as dragon blood wood. Yi Fan was speechless. In the stall in front of them, there was a red sandalwood table with an old tree root. The stall owner boasted shamelessly, saying that it was the rare dragon bloodwood root. Those who are willing to take the beating are willing to take the beating. That's the rule here. Sometimes there are really some good things. That's why many people come here to look for treasures, Tu Fei explained. They came to another stall. There was a rag on the ground with 3 fist-sized stones on it. They were as red as blood and were polished until they were translucent. They looked really good. Aren't those red pebbles picked up from the river? He dares to sell them as chalcedony? Yi Fan was dumbfounded. No, buy them. The big black dog said hurriedly. Yi Fan was moved. He asked the seller, how much are these 3 stones? 1 for 5 kilograms of source stone. This monster clan cultivator first looked at their clothes and then quoted a price. Obviously he was judging by the person. Why don't you rob someone? These 3 broken stones are obviously a scam. Tu Fei stopped Yi Fan and said, these are stones from the river. Don't buy them. The big black dog was anxious. He bit Tu Fei's calf, almost making Tu Fei stagger. Damn it. Damn dog, you bit me again. Tu Fei was enraged. A fight between a man and a dog was about to start. Yi Fan hurried to stop him. I want these 3 stones. Right at this moment, Xianxia appeared with a fragrant wind. She squatted down and grabbed a red stone. The big black dog let go of Tu Fei and jumped over. Xianxia was startled, quickly retreating. The big black dog put the remaining red stone under his paw. I like that one. The big black dog bared his teeth at Xianxia. You like it but you didn't buy it? Xianxia chuckled. She threw 2 source stones to the stall owner and said, I'll buy it. Yi Fan knew that this stone wasn't an ordinary item. He also threw 5 kilograms of source stones to the stall owner. Aren't these just pebbles from the river? Tu Fei didn't understand. What do you know? These are monster blood stones. The big black dog was angry. He opened his mouth and spat out a stream of light, putting the red stone away. What? Monster bloodstones? I'm not selling them. The stall owner wanted to back out, but Xianxia and the big black dog quickly put them away. Legend had it that the monster bloodstones were formed from the blood essence of ancient monsters after they died. This kind of thing wasn't really rare. After all, many years had passed, and the blood essence was almost gone. However, it had some special effects. It could be used to refine one's own demon blood and refine one's bones. The big black dog's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He was very depressed, but there was nothing he could do. Now that they were in the territory of the demon clan, he knew the severity of the situation, so he didn't do anything to Xianxia. Little girl, your cultivation level isn't high enough. You're still far from being able to undergo blood transfusion and rebirth. Why don't you trade with me? The big black dog said. Xianxia let out a bell-like laugh and said, this kind of thing can only be found by chance. I can't use it now, but I can save it for later. The big black dog became even more depressed. The stall owner beside him was also full of regret. Why are you here? Yifan asked. I often come here to look for treasures. Why are you running around? Xianxia asked. I want to buy some crafting materials. I've already asked the princess. She said that she can let you see the remains of the sacred body of the ancients, Xianxia said with a smile. What? The sacred body of the ancients that has been mastered? The big black dog's eyes lit up. If that's the case, it can definitely be used to craft an ultimate weapon. Yifan wanted to punch him. Brat, don't glare at me. I don't want a sacred body of a holy palace secret realm like you. I won't do anything to you, the big black dog muttered softly. I'll go with you to visit Princess Yen later. Yifan expressed his gratitude to Xianxia. After wandering around the free market for more than an hour, Yifan had collected more than a dozen materials. He was only missing 8. You can come back in a few days. Maybe you'll find something else, Tu Fei said. Yifan nodded. He was already very satisfied. He had found 28 materials in such a short time in the Demon City, which was beyond his expectations. If he really could not gather all of them, he could use the source to make up for it. At most, he would just squander it. He had to save Pangbo no matter what. We'll move tonight. Let's go see the remains of the sacred body of the ancients now. Yifan transmitted his voice to the big black dog, asking him to think about how to inscribe Dao patterns on the materials. Don't worry. I'll be done in an hour. Yifan was relieved to hear the big black dog's reply. He then went to visit Yen Ryu in a relaxed mood. Yen Ryu's residence was filled with spiritual qi like a dragon, surrounded by auspicious lights. She was flawless, like the most exquisite masterpiece of heaven. She was breathtakingly beautiful. The remains of the sacred body of the ancients are in the Green Drake King's treasure vault. Although I can take you in to see it, you can't stay too long. Thank you very much. Yifan thanked her. It was obvious that Yen Ryu had a high status here. She was even allowed to enter the Green Drake King's treasure vault. The ancient sages opened up this small world and left behind some ruins. The Green Drake King's cave was built in these ruins. It was a huge mountain that towered into the clouds. There were jade palaces on the peak as if they had arrived at the celestial court. Apart from Yen Ryu and Yifan, Xianxia, Tu Fei, and the big black dog also followed them. Yen Ryu stopped in front of a huge palace. This was a forbidden area, and trespassers would be killed without mercy. There were some old demons personally guarding this place, and even Yen Ryu was very polite to them. A few of the old demons were obviously nearing the end of their lifespans. They were so old that they were unrecognizable. Their wrinkles were so thick that even their eyes were sealed. Their snow-white eyebrows were half a foot long, and their heads were completely bald. Some of them were sweeping the floor, some were planting flowers, and some were playing chess. They worked slowly in the courtyard like ordinary old people. However, no one dared to look down on them. These old demons were all the old subordinates of the Green Drake King. Even though their lifespans were nearing the end of their lifespans, their strength was shocking. If they were angered, they could sweep through an entire region. The old demons looked deeply at Yifan, and then did not say anything. They opened the thick white jade door. In an instant, spiritual qi rushed out like a tide. The inside was shining brilliantly, so dazzling that one could not open their eyes. When they walked in, the white jade door that was more than a meter thick instantly closed with a rumble. However, the inside of the treasure vault was not dark, and it was as bright as day. Motherf asterisk her, it's all treasures. The big black dog wanted to jump into the pile of treasures, but he still resisted the urge. The treasure vault was very large, and there were a total of 9 palaces. Brilliant light shone, and there were precious treasures everywhere, making one feel as if they were in a dream. The golden holy sword had thousands of streaks of sword chi. It was golden and dazzling, and it hung in the air by itself. Its killing intent was boundless, and it was dazzling. The crimson blood demonic spear was like a curtain of blood, beautiful and sharp. It was fixed in midair, and divine power flowed around it, making one unable to look at it directly. The purple copper divine bell shone with divine light, and purple chi curled around it. It hung there, and the sound of the bell was long and melodious, shaking on its own. It was like the heavenly sound of a desolate era that tore through time and space from ancient times. The coiling dragon-treasured cauldron was simple and unadorned, suppressing the void. True dragons coiled around its surface, and the patterns on it were profound and unfathomable. It was filled with a mysterious power. The precious treasures of the sects and the weapons were all rare treasures. It was a feast for one's eyes, and they were deeply shocked. These are all precious treasures. The Green Drake King is too rich, and he really deserves to be robbed. The big black dog muttered softly, speaking his innermost thoughts. Yi Fan glared at him fiercely. This damn dog was too greedy, and it wanted to snatch treasures wherever it went. Tu Fei was also tongue-tied, and he said, "So many treasures, and the 9 palaces are all piled up. How much is this worth?" Apart from the weapons, there were also many precious materials that shone brilliantly and dazzlingly. Isn't that blood dragon wood? This is definitely real. It's not the tree root that you see in the street stalls. The big black dog licked his lips. In front of them, a blood-red light shone, and a withered tree that looked like a true dragon appeared. It was crimson and sparkled, and it had the shape of a dragon. There's a divine phoenix herb sealed in that jade disc. It's priceless. Tu Fei exclaimed in surprise. In the white jade disc, the divine phoenix herb was incomparably beautiful. Multicolored light shot out, and it vaguely formed the shape of a phoenix. What orb is this? Yi Fan saw a massive orb that was as big as a human head. There were tens of thousands of auspicious lights curling around it, and it hovered in the air, bobbing up and down. This is a flood dragon orb, a rare treasure. The big black dog's heart itched uncomfortably, and he really wanted to pounce over and swallow it. Refined copper essence, 5-colored ancient vines, star meteoric iron. All kinds of materials shone brightly. The treasure trove had everything, and it made people want to grab them all. There were countless rare treasures, and it was a treasure trove that lived up to its name. The collection of a powerful figure of the demon clan was truly dazzling and shocking. Soon Yi Fan was attracted by a mysterious aura, and he couldn't help but walk toward the deepest part of the treasure trove. The treasures around him suddenly dimmed, and only that aura deeply tugged at his heart. He stepped into the 9th level of the treasure palace, and his pupils suddenly contracted. He saw the remains of the sacred body of the ancients. There were even more treasures here, and they were piled up into a small mountain, dazzling and dazzling. At the very center, there was a cold corpse that sat cross-legged and motionless. Although its flesh and blood had dried up, it hadn't decayed, and it was tightly attached to its bones. The body is actually indestructible. The big black dog and Tu Fei were both astonished. Meanwhile, Yi Fan was like a clay sculpture, unmoving and fixed on the spot. Chapter 266. The long and melodious bronze bell, the floating ancient cauldron, the dazzling gold pagoda, and the magnificent 9th palace were all splendid. Many kinds of rare treasures were sparkling. At first glance, one could tell they weren't ordinary items. Many of them were weapons that the big shots had refined personally. They were radiating with terrifying energy fluctuations. However, none of these could attract Yi Fan's attention. In his eyes, there was only the dry corpse. There was an unknown attraction between the two of them. He seemed to see another version of himself. His blood had dried up, and he was sitting in meditation. Eventually he had become an icy corpse, sitting cross-legged. It was a strange illusion created by touching the same kind. It gave him a strange feeling. His soul seemed to travel back to the ancient time, entering the corpse and feeling some kind of emotion. After a long time, Yi Fan woke up from his dream. He walked forward step by step. It was unknown how many years had passed, but the corpse was still intact. It sat cross-legged in the middle of the treasures. Although there was no divine halo around it, it was more attractive than all the other treasures. The dried flesh and strong bones had an immortal power that seemed to travel through time and space to reach him. When this man sat cross-legged, he didn't look old. He looked like a middle-aged man. Even his hair was black and thick, draping over his dry body. The corpse's back was straight like a real dragon flying in the sky. It gave people an immortal feeling. The head didn't lower but looked straight ahead. Boom. When Yi Fan got closer, when he was less than 10 feet away from the corpse, the desolate ancient corpse trembled, and the light from the surrounding treasures dimmed. The people behind him were frightened. They retreated with disbelief. Only Yi Fan stood there without moving. He didn't feel any danger. What's going on? Little Yezi, don't go there, said Tu Fei. It's okay. Yi Fan walked to the sacred body of the ancients and studied it quietly. Boom. The withered remains of the divine body shook once again, and some of the treasures in the surroundings actually shattered. This ice-cold corpse was like an immortal divine statue. Why is it like that? Is he still alive? Tu Fei felt his hair rising. Yen Ruyu shook her head and said, it's impossible for it to be alive. No one in this world can live for so long. The Green Flood Dragon King speculated that this skeleton has existed for at least several tens of thousands of years. The large black dog's eyes flickered and he said, this isn't the sacred body of the ancients that has been mastered. Otherwise all those treasures just now would have been reduced to dust with a single tremor. Bang! The sacred body's remains shuddered again. With a flash of green light, a green lotus appeared by Yi Fan's side. It only had 3 leaves and it seemed to be in harmony with the saying, Tao begets 1 and 3 begets all things. Whoosh! The green lotus moved and disappeared in an instant, disappearing into the remains of the sacred body of the ancients. Holy sh*t. Is he going to come back to life? Lil Yi, are you okay? Tu Fei screamed. Yen Ryu and Qin Yao's expressions changed as well. Could this ice-cold corpse really be alive? How was this possible? No one in this world could live for tens of thousands of years. The large black dog's eyes widened in shock and bewilderment, and his bald tail stood up on end. I'm fine. Don't come any closer. Yi Fan was also shocked. The green lotus that accompanied his sea of reincarnation actually rushed into the corpse. At that moment he sensed a solidified sea of reincarnation. It was a desolate place and his green lotus bloomed with a green light inside. It was also a golden sea of bitterness, but it was almost dried up. The remaining bit of gold had also become cold and hard. It was not a sea but more like yellow earth. This remains really is an indestructible body. He was shocked. Not only did it look indestructible on the outside, but it also looked like the inside of the body. It was just that it had shriveled and lost its life, turning into a withered body. Whoosh! Part of Yi Fan's mind seemed to have left his body and entered the green lotus, sinking into the corpse. It was as if his soul had left his body. How did this happen? I'm inside his body? Yi Fan did not know why this was happening and it shocked him quite a bit. Since ancient times, people did not know what would happen when 2 saint physiques met. This was because this kind of physique was too rare. After a long period of time, the understanding of it was even more limited. It was very difficult to imagine that this kind of strange situation would happen when Yi Fan met with a Saint Physique's corpse. In the dried-up sea of reincarnation, the green lotus swayed, sprinkling out specks of green splendor, spreading out a wisp of vitality. Yi Fan's heart trembled. He felt as if he could activate this physical body. The aura of vitality spread out in the desolate sea of reincarnation, and the dried-up golden sea seemed to have a wisp of vitality. Of course, this was all caused by the green lotus. There was actually a ripple in the golden sea, and a bit of divine power spread out. This human body's secret realm was no longer dark and it became bright. What's going on? Yi Fan's mind was immersed in the green lotus, and he did not stop all this from happening. He quietly watched the changes. At the same time, the sea of bitterness in Yi Fan's main body shone brightly. The golden sea surged, lightning interweaved, and vitality surged. Shi Yen could feel the changes in his body clearly. He didn't lose the connection with his body. His mind seemed to be divided into 2 parts and he was in 2 different bodies. The green lotus sent his divine power into the corpse. The dried sea of reincarnation's vitality became more abundant as if it was about to be revived. Eventually, the sea of reincarnation of the Saint Physique's corpse rippled with gold waves. Yi Fan was truly shocked. A corpse that was already cold, the divine body that had been extinct for who knew how many years actually had this type of transformation. It left him feeling that this was inconceivable. How could it be? He's dead. How could I activate the Sea of Gold? At this moment, some people not far from them were also astounded. At this moment, they saw the dried body sitting cross-legged in the treasury radiate with dazzling light. The Saint Physique's corpse was like a god, radiating dreamy light. The undying gold body emitted brilliant lights as if it was about to be revived. Little brother Yi, are you okay? Yen Ruyu's body was crystal clear, and her palms were dazzling. She was about to use her ultimate weapon. Little Yi, what happened? How do you feel? Come back quickly. Tu Fei said. Yi Fan, what's wrong? Qingyao asked. Part of Yi Fan's mind was immersed in the green lotus, and the other part was in his body. He could sense everything clearly. I'm fine. Don't do anything. Let me study it carefully. As long as the sacred body of the ancients is successful, it will be indestructible and can be refined into a great weapon. There are also many secrets, the big black dog mumbled. Even without it saying it, everyone present knew that the sacred body of the ancients could be refined into an ultimate weapon. The Green Flood Dragon King didn't do anything because it wanted to figure out other secrets. Maybe it could find some visions of the sacred body. Bang! The sacred body of the ancient's corpse shook slightly. The sea of reincarnation shone brightly. Under the swaying of the green lotus, the dried sea of gold became brighter and brighter, and the waves surged. Yi Fan couldn't believe it. It was a corpse. He felt that it was very similar to his own body. Why was it like this? All of a sudden he saw something in the sea of gold. There was a broken bell and a broken spear. Yi Fan's heart skipped a beat. Those were the weapons of the deceased, which had decayed and perished in the sea of bitterness. With a divine bell on his head and a spear in his hand, he looked down on the world. One could imagine how graceful the sacred body of the ancients would be when wielding these two weapons. Even the weapons are destroyed, but the corpse is still intact. This body is indeed powerful. Yi Fan was quite surprised. It was obvious that the spear and the bell were not weapons of the ultimate path. Otherwise they would have existed forever. He searched carefully, hoping to find something valuable in the sea of reincarnation. Boom! The sacred body of the ancient's corpse shook, and the waves in the sea of reincarnation became even more violent. Not far away, everyone was so shocked that they couldn't help but take a few steps back. At that moment, the corpse was flowing with vitality as if it was alive. Even the shriveled flesh had a sparkling luster. He was shrouded in halos and looked extremely sacred. He sat there with his legs crossed, looking solemn and dignified like an immortal god. Boom, boom, boom. Several bolts of lightning intertwined in the sea of reincarnation of the sacred body's corpse, and the sea of gold became even more dazzling. Swoosh! With a flash of light, the green lotus sank into the sea, swaying and glowing as if it was going to take root here. Yi Fan's heart tightened. This was the mysterious divine lotus that he had cultivated. If it took root here, what would that mean? Boom! All of a sudden, the divine power contained in the sea of reincarnation rushed into the limbs and bones of this body, surging like a raging tide. Yi Fan suddenly had a strange illusion. This body was like his own body and he felt as if he could control it. The green lotus swayed and green light flashed. With a thought, he moved one of his fingers. This was not his finger but the corpse's. However, it moved under his will. The green lotus swayed and took root in the sea of reincarnation. Green light spilled out, shaking out even more divine power. With a thought, Yi Fan suddenly raised an arm. Not far away, everyone, including the large black dog, was shocked. The sacred body that had been dead for many years was actually moving. Boom! More divine power surged out of his sea of reincarnation. With a flash of thought, Yi Fan suddenly stood up. His movements did not slow down at all. This is... Heavens, what happened? Tu Fei was tongue-tied. Yan Ryu's palm flashed with light, and the power of the extreme path surged out, pressing forward. Don't attack. I don't know what happened, but it won't be dangerous. Yi Fan's real body said hurriedly, blocking them. At the same time, his mind, which was in the corpse, felt very natural, as if it was in his own body. He didn't feel very comfortable. Under the power of the extreme path, with a thought, the sea of reincarnation clanged, and the broken golden divine bell flew out, hovering above his head, bobbing up and down. At the same time, a broken green battle spear appeared in his hand. It was extremely heavy and terrifying waves shook out. Yi Fan, what did you do? How did this corpse come back to life? Tu Fei backed away in shock. The large black dog's eyes were also filled with shock and doubt. He said, Damn, the sacred body of the ancients is the most mysterious. Even a corpse is so strange. Although Yan Ryu had retracted the power of the extreme path, the light in her palm was not withdrawn. She was always on guard. Yi Fan's real body and the corpse stood opposite each other. They looked at each other. It was a strange feeling because they were both him at the moment. Suddenly he was shocked. After the divine power in the sea of reincarnation of the sacred body of the ancients overflowed, it began to circulate according to some mysterious path. The broken golden divine bell above Yi Fan's head, and the broken green battle spear in his hand. He sensed the aura of the great path and his combat strength surged. This withered body was immortal and indestructible. It had been preserved until now, and there was no obstruction in the circulation of divine power. It was very smooth. This is a mental cultivation method of the Great Path. I might obtain some kind of inheritance. Yifan was shocked. If the Sea of Reincarnation was like this, would other secret realms of the human body be like this? This corpse could very well be a priceless treasure. Chapter 267. This body was dry and indestructible. Essence chi flowed without any hindrance and had the aura of the Great Path. Yifan was as still as a rock. His mind was immersed in the golden body without moving an inch, capturing the Tao rhythm and grasping the circulation route. He felt that this might be an immortal inheritance. If he could obtain it, it might be of great benefit to his cultivation. After all, it was a sacred body of the ancients, which was the same kind as him. Essence chi coiled like a dragon. It was a mysterious method with a mysterious circulation route, like a dragon crossing the ocean and breaking the waves. Yifan carefully captured it, memorized its trajectory and estimated its power. He compared it with his own cultivation method and verified it. No. He observed it for a moment. The essence chi circulation path of this Great Path method was unusual, and it was a little different. This is not an orthodox cultivation method. He compared it with the Sea of Reincarnation scripture and realized that it did not look like a cultivation method, but more like a secret technique. Yifan's heart skipped a beat. His consciousness became ethereal. He grasped it carefully and tried to figure it out. He found it more and more mysterious. This is a secret cultivation method for a single secret realm. He was shocked and came to such a conclusion after comparing it with the legends. Some ancient cultivators only cultivated one secret realm and would never step into other secret realms for the rest of their lives. Legend had it that ancient powerhouses who cultivated only one secret realm would experience a transformation of 9 lifetimes and 9 deaths. In the end, they would break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly, returning to the great perfection. As soon as they came out, the clouds in all directions moved and strange phenomena shot into the sky. Of course, this was the result of many years. Sometimes, it would take a lifetime and not a single step. Cultivating in a single secret realm not only required a powerful cultivation method, but also some ancient secret techniques to complement it. Yifan was very curious and wanted to understand what this cultivation path was all about. Today he actually got a glimpse of such an ancient secret technique. There were only a few ancient scriptures in the entire Eastern Barren territory. The Sea of Reincarnation scripture scroll he obtained was the strongest cultivation method in this secret realm and could be used to cultivate a single secret realm. However, he had always lacked a secret technique to complement it. Now that he had a glimpse of the mystery of the Great Path, he felt a little excited. He felt the aura of the Great Path, which was enough to prove that the mystery of this secret technique was comparable to and matched with the Tao scripture. The sacred body of the ancients had been dead for tens of thousands of years. Although it was immortal, it was not a living body after all. At this moment, it was inexplicably revived, but its original mantra was not activated. However, this secret technique was activated along with the essence, which was enough to explain everything. This was the most precious treasury, an unmatched great Tao secret method, comparable to the Tao scripture. Yifan collected his thoughts, silently comprehending and seriously observing, slowly imprinting the circulation route of this secret technique into his sea of consciousness. As someone with the sacred body of the ancients, it was difficult for him to go far in the current world. The Holy Ji Palace had cut off his path of advancement, and even sacred grounds were unable to withstand the massive amount of source. Even though he grasped the origin heavenly book, it was still extremely difficult, almost impossible to achieve. After all, the astronomical figure was just too great. Now that he obtained this great Tao secret technique, he had another choice. This sacred body's remains had an undying flesh. Its withered body overflowed with sparkling radiance, making the people not far away extremely shocked. "Little Yi, are you sure it's okay?" asked Tu Fei. "Brat, do you like that corpse?" the large black dog asked suspiciously. Even though Yi Fan was at a critical moment and was seriously exploring this great Tao secret method, he still responded patiently. Otherwise he was worried that these people would make a move on him. After all, this sacred body's remains were too shocking. He controlled it to stand up, with the divine bell above his head and the lapis halberd in his hand. It was as if he had come back to life. "I'm fine. You guys don't have to worry. I have the same type of physique as him, and the same source chi is connected. I'll try and see if I can find anything." He had no idea why the two of them were like this. It would be too far-fetched to say that their auras were connected. Perhaps it could be attributed to the mystery of the sacred body of the ancients. The scene at the moment was indeed a little strange. A person who had been dead for tens of thousands of years had come back to life, which made people think of many things. They were on high alert and observed. Time passed bit by bit. Yi Fan carefully grasped and grasped, finally imprinting the complete secret method into his mind. He then studied it again to make sure that there were no mistakes before letting out a long sigh. He had finally obtained this great Tao secret method. This was the inheritance left behind by a sacred body of the ancients. Its value and significance were immeasurable, and it was too important to him. What's the origin of this sacred body? How did you discover it? Yi Fan asked. He wanted to know what was going on. It was discovered by the Green Flood Dragon King in this small world, Xianxia said. When the Green Flood Dragon King first entered this small world, his biggest gain was the Ageless Temple, which could prolong a cultivator's lifespan. This sacred body was also discovered in there. According to the Green Flood Dragon King's speculation, this corpse is most likely the ancient sage who created this small world, Yenryu said. This shocked Tu Fei, who revealed a look of disbelief. This sacred body could exist for tens of thousands of years, so it was impossible for it to be someone from before the Antiquity Age who had not cultivated it to the level of great accomplishment. After the Antiquity Age, the sacred body couldn't be cultivated and could only be stopped in the mystery realm of the Doctrine Palace. How could someone cultivate this kind of physique to this level? Tu Fei was puzzled. This corpse is comparable to an ancient sage who created a small world? The large black dog was also shocked. Yi Fan's heart moved and he looked at this corpse. His consciousness rose from the sea of reincarnation into the Doctrine Palace. He was shocked to discover that this mystery realm had also been cultivated. Among the 5 divine treasures of the Doctrine Palace, 4 of them had already reached the consummate level. Only the divine treasure of the heart had been cultivated, but it was still far from the consummate level. 4 divine treasures at the consummate level. Doesn't this mean that he refined 500,000 kilograms of origin source and was stuck at the last astronomical number? Yi Fan was shocked. Ancient almighty beings focused on cultivating a single mystic realm, spending all their energy on it. However, this corpse had almost cultivated 2 mystic realms. This kind of physique cultivated a single mystery realm, and then entered another mystery realm. No wonder he became an ancient sage. Yi Fan's mind returned to the sea of reincarnation and entered the Green Lotus. With a single thought, this withered body of his instantly became sparkling and translucent. His body was as tough as meteorite metal, and every inch of his body was filled with explosive power. He held the blue-gold battle spear in his hand, and with a light slash, the silver dragon scissors beside him broke into 2 with a crack. It was as effortless as cutting through rotten wood. Dang! The sound of the bell lingered, and the divine bell above his head rang softly. A purple copper gourd floating in front of him cracked soundlessly and turned into powder. This corporeal body was extremely strong. As soon as it was revived, it displayed shocking power. Behind him, a few people retreated, ready to attack at any time. Yi Fan observed in the sea of reincarnation, and after some careful exploration he didn't find anything else in this corporeal body except for his own green lotus. The huge golden sea of bitterness was silent. The waves had calmed and there was nothing inside. It was empty. Swoosh. With a flash of light, the divine bell above his head sank into the sea of reincarnation, and the blue-gold battle spear also flashed and disappeared, returning to his body. He meditated on the ground according to his original posture. He looked solemn as he sat among the many treasures. The green lotus swayed and endless divine power was sucked back. The golden sea of bitterness slowly dimmed and finally dried up. Green light sparkled. The green lotus flew out, accompanying Yi Fan. His thought flickered and the green lotus returned to his body. Yi Fan wanted this body a lot. However, it belonged to the Green Flood Dragon King, whose competence could be compared to the great sage. He could only sigh inwardly. If he wanted to do something, he would turn into ashes. Boom boom boom. The 1-meter-thick white jade door closed. They left the 9-layered treasure house standing on a towering mountain peak. Some old monsters were planting vegetables not far from them, so they didn't look at them. Let's go. Do you still want to get in there? Tu Fei patted Yi Fan's shoulder. I don't know what to exchange for the Green Flood Dragon King's body, muttered Yi Fan. Don't even think about it. It's the remains of a saint body, an ancient sage who had created a small world. His remains can be used to refine peerless weapons. What can you use to exchange for it? Tu Fei shook his head. If you use the source chi of all creatures to exchange for it, the entire treasure house will be yours, said an old monster behind them with squinted eyes. Let's go. The big black dog straightened his bald tail. He was the first one to run away. He could feel the danger. Yi Fan didn't want to tangle with these old monsters. If they attacked him, Yen-Ruyu would be put in a difficult situation. He bowed to them and then used the crazy old man's footwork, disappearing in just a blink of an eye. I have to leave this place as soon as possible. This was his decision. The longer he stayed here, the more dangerous it would be. Your Highness, can you take me to the Immortal Hall? On the way, Yi Fan asked Yen-Ruyu. The ancient sage had died there, so he would have left something there. As he had the same body, perhaps he could find something. I don't think so. We have to wait for several months. Yen-Ruyu rejected him tactfully. You've triggered that corpse. What did you get? Asked Xianxia. Yen-Ruyu and Tu Fei also looked over. They also wanted to ask this question. What could I find? He was just a skeleton. What could he leave behind after losing his life? Everything was controlled by the green lotus in my body. Speaking of this, Yi Fan was moved. He said, however, I found out that he had only cultivated the Sea of Reincarnation secret realm. He hadn't crossed the Doctrine Palace. An ancient sage who only cultivated a single secret realm. Tu Fei was surprised. Xianxia was a little surprised. She said, it seems that since the Antiquity Age no one could break the curse. The Saint Physique could only stop at the Doctrine Palace secret realm. At this time the big black dog suddenly jumped up. He stared at Yi Fan with his big eyes and asked in surprise, he really cultivated a single secret realm? What's so surprising about that? Asked Yi Fan. Yen-Ruyu looked pensive. She shook her head and said, after the Antiquity Age I've never heard of a Saint Physique who cultivated a single secret realm. To cultivate a single secret realm, other than a powerful mental cultivation technique, a supreme secret technique is needed as well. The big black dog was shocked. He said to himself, but after the Antiquity Age, it was hard for a Saint Physique to cultivate a single secret realm. What kind of ancient secret technique is that? Yi Fan's heart jumped. This kind of secret technique was not simple at all. It's comparable to an ancient sage who opened up a small world. What kind of secret technique is that? Yen-Ruyu also said to herself. This was also the reason why the Green Flood Dragon King didn't want to refine the skeleton into a weapon. He wanted to find out the secret. Yi Fan's heart was not calm. He decided that after entering the Immortal Palace tonight while saving Pang Bo, he had to find out everything about that place. The Black Empress is going to act tonight. Are you confident? Let's act quickly. Those old demons are very dangerous. I don't want to stay here any longer. Returning to the palace in the pine forest, Yi Fan directly closed the door and took out all kinds of materials. He asked the big black dog to carve Dao patterns and prepared to break the restriction of the Immortal Palace at night. Night fell. In this small world there was no bright moon or stars. It was pitch black and one couldn't even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. Yi Fan and the big black dog silently came to the layer of clouds, quietly observing the Immortal Palace. Chapter 268. In the dead of night, not a single sound could be heard. Above the clouds, the Immortal Palace towered majestically. Time had left many marks on its surface, and some places were about to collapse. However, it still floated in the air and did not sink down. There were many meteorites ranging from the size of a dozen meters to the size of a palm. They lay quietly in the surroundings like a natural stone forest, arranged in picturesque disorder. Yi Fan stood on a cloud and sized up the Immortal Palace from afar. The Black Emperor stood on a spirit tool that could be used as a means of transportation. Otherwise he could not fly. This was the five-colored jade boat that Yi Fan had obtained from killing a disciple of the Ji family. It had been refined by the large black dog again, and now it was like a tortoise shell, completely black. On the jade boat there was a large pile of materials. There were star stones, mysterious ice jade, divine blood soil, and so on. They were all rare and uncommon materials. They could not be considered very precious, but they all had some special uses. There are two great elites in this small world, comparable to the various great sage lords, and there are also some powerful old demons. If we make too much noise and are detected by them, we will definitely die, Yi Fan said calmly. The large black dog gritted his teeth and said, if I cannot obtain the ancient scripture of the demon race emperor, I will not let you off. The risk I am taking is too great. Now, his expression was solemn, not daring to lower his guard. If he made the slightest mistake, there would be a great disaster that would befall him. The large black dog circled around the Immortal Palace, but was not willing to make a move. He pondered back and forth, thinking carefully. Yi Fan did not rush him. Right now it was all up to him. There was no safe method, so he would rather wait than take the risk. After all, if this opportunity was lost, it would not come again. It must be soundless, without the slightest ripple. The large black dog muttered to himself. He was very serious because this concerned life and death. After a whole hour, the large black dog finally finished his calculations. He gritted his teeth and said, "I am going to risk it all. I must obtain that ancient scripture." On the jade boat, every material was engraved with Tao patterns. They were extremely complicated, like scribbled talismans, profound and difficult to understand. The large black dog shot out a piece of divine blood soil, and it soundlessly disappeared into the meteorite forest. It was fixed there and it didn't move in the slightest. It controlled the jade boat and circled around the Immortal Palace, flying quickly. It sent all of the 81 pieces of divine blood earth inside, sandwiching them within the meteor forest. At this point, the first material, the divine blood earth, was completely used up. It densely covered the surroundings of the Immortal Palace. Nothing unexpected happened, so there shouldn't be any slip-ups from now on. My guess was correct. The large black dog heaved a sigh of relief. What is the use of this divine blood soil? This place is known as the meteor forest, the large black dog replied. Extremely powerful Tao patterns have been carved into it, forming a galaxy field. The divine blood soil can interfere with the field's energy. So powerful. Yi Fan was shocked. This meteor forest is formed according to the arrangement of the myriad heaven's master stars. Once it's activated, it'll be filled with killing intent. Even great elites will die if they fall into it, the large black dog said with a solemn expression. Yi Fan sucked in a breath of cold air. He finally understood why there was no one guarding this place. It was because there was no need at all. Then the large black dog sent out the profound tortoise shell. The Tao patterns carved on it were even more complicated, and there were a total of 50 pieces. However, he only sealed in 49 pieces, and their positions were all very particular. The last piece was tossed onto the jade boat. There was only a single Tao pattern carved on it, and it looked slightly special. What is the use of this profound tortoise shell? Yi Fan asked humbly. The profound tortoise shell is used to subvert the small heaven and earth formed by this meteor forest. Why is there another piece left behind? The Tao patterns carved on this piece are also a little different. Yi Fan was puzzled. If I were to explain it in detail, there would be too many details. The number of heaven and earth depends on 50. If one of them isn't used, the chi of heaven will turn illusions into reality, so I used 49, the large black dog answered casually. Then he began to deduce the next step. Yi Fan sighed emotionally. The study of Tao patterns was indeed broad and profound. There were too many things involved, and it contained heaven's secrets. It was very difficult to grasp, and he couldn't study it in detail at the moment. The third material that the large black dog sent out was profound ice jade. There were a total of 108 pieces, and the Tao patterns carved on them were dense and detailed. In fact, this material is called profound yellow stone. It can be used to create a small heaven and earth and cover up the meteor forest. However, that kind of material is too rare and it's very difficult to find. What should we do? Can profound ice jade replace it? Yi Fan didn't want to make any mistakes. Fortunately, you have a cauldron forged from the source chi of all things on you. In a while, after we enter, you can take it out and place it on your head. It'll be enough to suppress everything, the large black dog said. You've already made up your mind, haven't you? Yi Fan asked. If you didn't have the source chi of all things, I definitely wouldn't have come to break the Tao patterns here. Profound yellow stone is the first main material to break through the meteor forest. Although the large black dog was dark and mischievous, at this crucial moment, he was very solemn and serious, without the slightest bit of carelessness. After all, this concerned their lives. An hour later, out of the 28 materials, 27 had already been thrown in, and only the star stones were left untouched. At this time, the Black Emperor started to throw the source chi that had been inscribed with Tao patterns into the meteor forest. Half a square of source chi was placed in the jade boat, and it weighed more than 1,600 kilograms, sparkling and translucent. Time was short, and Yi Fan had only collected 28 materials in Demon City. The rest would have to be replenished with source chi. In order to save Pang Bo, he was willing to take out all of his source chi. However, the large black dog at least had some conscience, and said that half a square of source chi was enough. Even so, this was still a shocking consumption. More than 1,600 kilograms of source chi were thrown into the meteor forest in the blink of an eye. Finally, the Black Emperor threw out 365 star stones, which were evenly distributed in the meteor forest. Alright, it's finally done. I used the sky-stealing sun-switching technique to temporarily replace the meteors with star stones. The large black dog let out a long breath. Are you sure that the meteor forest that represents the heavenly main star has been broken through by you? Yi Fan's heart was in turmoil because he was about to see Pang Bo. I can't say that I've broken through it. I've only temporarily paralyzed the galaxy force field. Can we go in now? Yi Fan found it difficult to calm down. Yes, take out your cauldron, the Black Emperor reminded solemnly. The small cauldron that was an inch tall flew out, and quickly enlarged to a meter tall, hovering above Yi Fan's head. Source Qi of all things descended, and wisps of mysterious yellow Qi circulated. The exclusive holy treasure of an ancient emperor, it's a rare sight and it actually fell into your hands. The large black dog was extremely angry, and wanted nothing more than to pounce on it. What does this mean? I'll definitely become an emperor in the future. The number of ancient emperors represents the highest cultivation level of the human race, you. The large black dog curled his lips. The Immortal Palace towered above the clouds, and the surrounding meteor forest was quiet. Wisps of mysterious yellow Qi emanated from the ancient cauldron above Yi Fan's head. He walked forward on the clouds, and the large black dog steered the jade boat, following behind him, gradually approaching the Immortal Palace. The surroundings were very quiet, and there was no killing intent in the meteor forest. As they walked forward, everything was very quiet. You really deciphered it, of course? The large black dog had a proud look on his face. After walking for half a kilometer, they arrived in front of the Immortal Palace. They no longer spoke and instead communicated via divine sense. Are you sure that the being that has taken over my body won't be able to live for long? I'm sure. Yi Fan replied with certainty. That's good, then I'll use the meteor forest to temporarily seal this place, so that the outside world won't find out if there's a huge commotion in the Immortal Palace. The Black Emperor moved the divine blood soil, mysterious ice jade, star stone and other materials and rearranged them. At the same time, Yi Fan also began to make preparations. He took out the stone clothes that he had worn when exploring the Purple Mountain and put them on. This was the stone skin of the divine origin, and could isolate all auras including divine sense. According to the large black dog's deduction, if he wanted to defeat that being, he would have to engage in a battle of divine sense, and this was the best protective clothes. The large black dog was also making preparations, and stuck over 100 small flags onto the jade boat. These were all defensive tools that he had meticulously carved, and were specially made for battles of divine sense. The cauldron above Yi Fan's head bobbed up and down, and emitted a heaven-swallowing power, sucking the large black dog and the jade boat into it. Then he himself also entered into the cauldron. Our two divine senses are strong enough, and it should be enough to suppress a lone wild ghost that has tried to possess us. The only thing I'm worried about is that you might have made a mistake. The large black dog transmitted his voice from within the cauldron. A few years ago he was already on the verge of death. Otherwise, why would he borrow the Blue Flood Dragon King's Immortal Palace? Wasn't it to prolong his lifespan? Yi Fan replied. Then let's go in. The large black dog gritted his teeth. The large cauldron advanced soundlessly, and the Immortal Palace was completely silent. The doors were tightly shut. There's something strange. Yi Fan sensed that something was off. This grand ancient palace didn't seem like it had been built, but rather like it had been carved out. That's right, it seemed like it had been carved out of a stone mountain, and it wasn't built using ordinary methods. There were stone tiles on the ancient palace, and they were all connected together. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to tell that this was a complete whole, and not built from bricks and tiles. Is this really carved out of a stone mountain? Yi Fan was filled with astonishment, and he felt that there was no need to expend so much effort. Swoosh. After pausing for a moment, he urged the cauldron forward. A streak of mysterious yellow Qi trembled lightly, and the stone doors of the palace were soundlessly pushed open. This building that would never sink had existed for far too long, and it made one feel the vicissitudes of history. Pang Bo, I've come to save you, Yi Fan said to himself in his heart. The Immortal Palace was an extremely grand ancient building. It was very spacious inside and it was completely pitch black. There's no one in the palace, the large black dog transmitted his voice. There are several levels to the ancient palace, and he should be in the palace at the back. Yi Fan's heart was very unsettled. Wait a moment, don't be in a hurry to leave. There are Dao patterns carved into the palace, and they are very mysterious, the large black dog transmitted his voice. This ancient palace could slow down the loss of a cultivator's lifespan, and it was called the Immortal Palace. Its name was greatly related to the Tao patterns carved into this place. The Black Emperor studied it for a very long time, but he still couldn't find where the Tao patterns were carved, and he couldn't find anything. But right at this moment Yi Fan made a new discovery and his heart trembled. This is the Source Mountain. The entire ancient palace was carved out of a stone mountain. From the outside it looked like ordinary limestone, but after entering inside he was given a huge shock. This was Source Oregon. This should be an ancient palace carved out of a mountain of Source Oregon. If he shattered the palace he might be able to dig out the Source Oregon. No. Right at this moment Yi Fan was even more shocked after careful observation. This ancient palace was definitely not simple, or rather, this source vein was not simple, and it contained something unusual. "Brat, what did you discover?" the large black dog asked. "Don't disturb me, let me take a closer look." Yi Fan swept his gaze over the palace and carefully observed. Now, it was impossible to judge based on the terrain because the source stone mountain had already been carved into a palace. He could only make a guess based on this source material. An extremely bad feeling, this place. Yi Fan was shocked. What's wrong? This should be a dangerous place, why is it called the Immortal Palace? Yi Fan felt a chill run down his spine, and a bad feeling welled up in his heart. What did you see? The Black Emperor asked. I can't be sure yet, let's enter the second palace to take a look. Yi Fan steered the cauldron and entered the spacious second palace. After careful observation, his heart instantly trembled and he confirmed his guess. This is an extremely dangerous place. Yi Fan cursed in his heart. This was a place to take one's life, so how could it be a place to slow down one's lifespan? Brat, what's so special about this place? Have you heard of places like the Fire Dragon Tomb and the Dragon's Bloodbath that have divine sources buried? The Black Emperor shivered and said, Of course I've heard of them. Yi Fan said in a deep voice, This place is called the Yellow Springs Tomb, and is on par with such dangerous places. This is an ancient palace carved out of an Source Mountain, and the Yellow Springs Tomb is within this ancient palace. Chapter 269. The Immortal Palace was a name with immortality, but it was the famous Yellow Springs Tomb, recorded in the Book of Origin Heavenly Scripture. The Black Emperor was startled and said, Brat, did you see wrongly? I've seen the Fire Dragon Tomb and I've personally been to the land of dragon blood. I wouldn't be mistaken about the Yellow Springs Tomb of the same level. Now Yi Fan's understanding of origin techniques had reached a very high level. There was no sound in the spacious hall. It was very quiet and no signs of life could be felt. There's no danger. If it was the Yellow Springs Tomb, I'm afraid there would be big trouble now. The large black dog was suspicious. The Yellow Springs Tomb was definitely an extremely dangerous place. The ancient sages spent a lot of effort to excavate such an origin mountain and carve it into a palace. This was really a big deal. Yi Fan and the Black Emperor returned to the first level of the hall. They didn't want to act rashly and needed to observe carefully. Tao pattern, I finally sensed it. There's an extremely powerful Tao pattern here. It drew out a mysterious power for its own use, giving this place the effect of immortality, the large black dog suddenly said. Where does that power come from? Yi Fan asked. The Black Emperor closed his eyes and after a long time he suddenly opened them and said, It's in the center of this hall. Yi Fan drove the cauldron forward and came to the center of the ancient hall. The ground was covered with origin stones, and there were all kinds of pictures of birds, fish, insects and beasts carved on them. Yi Fan walked out of the cauldron and lifted a stone slab on the ground. A dark, deep well appeared in front of him. As expected, the ancient sages are really generous, turning a dangerous place into their own. Where does this broken well connect to? Of course it connects to the Yellow Springs, and absorbs divine power for the Immortal Palace to use. Indistinctly, the sound of flowing water came from below, and at the same time, waves of netherworld aura spread up. What's so special about the Yellow Springs Tomb? The large black dog asked. According to the records, it's the water of the Yellow Springs of the 9 underworlds, and it's sealed in the origin vein. There's something incredible inside, Yi Fan answered. Suddenly the Yin aura below rushed up like blades and specks of light rippled out. It was no longer pitch black. Yi Fan hurriedly returned to the cauldron and looked into the well. The large black dog also stretched out his neck and stared at them with his eyes wide open. Blah. The sound of the water was like the sound of metal and stone. It seemed to be extremely heavy and when it flowed, it produced chong-chong sounds. A hazy halo of light scattered outwards. It really is the Yellow Spring, the large black dog exclaimed in shock. Below them was a waterway sealed within a crystal-clear Genesis vein. A huge yellow river surged past like a roaring yellow dragon. According to the legends, when the yellow springs of the 9 hells retreated from the mortal world, some of them were left underground. Could this be true? The large black dog was astonished. Yi Fan's expression was solemn as he stared at the yellow springs on the ground without saying a word. He did not care about these things. After all, they were inanimate objects. What he cared about was the things contained in the yellow springs. Whoosh! The spiritual energy was like a dragon, rushing up along the ancient well, making people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. F***ck, this is the aura of a divine source, the large black dog exclaimed. Brat, quickly think of a way. There is a divine source below, hurry up and bring it up. You think I don't want to, but do we have that kind of strength? If we break open the Genesis vein, both of us will die here, Yi Fan said in a low voice. At this moment, from the surging yellow springs, a flash of light appeared. A long origin stone could be faintly seen floating along with the waves. Why does it look like a stone coffin to me? The large black dog was shocked. That is a divine source and there is something sealed inside. Yi Fan's expression was grave. That long origin stone sank to the bottom of the yellow springs, and it was difficult to see clearly. Then it was swept away, rushing into the depths of the Genesis vein. The area below became dark. Divine source, there is a divine source below the Immortal Palace, the large black dog cried out anxiously. Of course, their communication was not really through words, but through divine sense. Yi Fan covered the stone slab and sealed the well again. He said to himself, the ancient sages are indeed extraordinary people. They turned a dangerous place into their own, and the tomb of the yellow springs has been sealed. At the same time he frowned. From this, it could be deduced that a single divine source was not equivalent to millions of kilograms of origin stone. Otherwise, the remains of the sacred body of the ancients would have been refined and would not have been left behind. The mystery realm of the Doctrine Palace is indeed an insurmountable chasm. Yi Fan and the large black dog entered 4 halls in a row. There was a well in the center of each hall, which led directly to the Genesis vein that sealed the yellow springs underground. Complicated patterns were carved under each well, transforming the divine power in the dangerous place into the power of longevity. This made the large black dog very interested, but he could not understand it even after carefully studying it for a long time. This really makes me speechless. Underground is the yellow springs, and above is the Immortal Palace. Yi Fan sighed. It was originally a dangerous place, but the ancient sages used unfathomable and mysterious patterns to transform it into a treasured place that could prolong one's lifespan. Life and death were so close that they were only separated by a well. After entering the 6 palace halls and discovering the 6 ancient wells, Yi Fan finally relaxed. The Yellow Springs tomb had been completely sealed. Even after such a long time, the Tao pattern had not lost its effectiveness. Otherwise, if the seal in such a dangerous place was broken even a little, he and the large black dog would definitely die. There was no way they could survive. In the 7th Great Hall, Yi Fan and the large black dog vaguely saw what was in the Yellow Springs. It was really a stone coffin that was connected to a divine source. Why is there such a thing? A stone coffin in the Yellow Springs. Yi Fan was also shocked. What kind of ancient creature was this? He only knew that some ancient creatures were sealed in some divine sources. This was the first time he had seen a sealed stone coffin. I think it's a little unreliable. It's probably not some ancient creature. The large black dog's eyes flickered as if he had thought of something. After entering the 8th ancient hall, Yi Fan was slightly disappointed because he did not see any stone inscriptions related to cultivation. Did the ancient sages not leave anything behind? He was slightly confused. This Immortal Palace was clearly an important place that would never fall. It was the place where that sage had passed away, but there was actually nothing left behind. There is a secret technique here, but you can't obtain it. Even I can only stare at it. What did you discover? Yi Fan asked. Of course it's the patterns of Tao. The ancient great elites comprehended the great Tao of heaven and earth, and they would inscribe them in the form of patterns of Tao. Very few recorded them in words, the large black dog said. Yi Fan frowned. He could not study Tao patterns now, and even the large black dog could not do anything about it. However, he was not depressed because he had already obtained the secret technique of great Tao from that corpse. There was only 1 hall left, and he was about to meet Pang Bo. Yi Fan was deeply afraid that something might happen to him. Yi Fan and the Black Emperor were in the cauldron, and they slowly flew towards the 9th ancient hall. During this process, they discovered that the spiritual chi had become denser, and there was a faint light. They were on high alert because it was possible that a great battle was about to erupt. Battles of divine sense were the most dangerous, and they would be doomed if they were even the slightest bit careless. When they pushed open the thick and heavy stone doors and entered this hall, they saw a field of light, and the darkness was swept away. It did not seem like a hall at all. This place was extremely spacious, and it was even more spacious than the previous 8 halls combined. Here, plants were lush and colorful flowers were blooming everywhere. All kinds of ancient trees extended their branches and vines hung from them. The stream was murmuring and the ground was paved with cobblestones. There were ancient pavilions and tall pine trees. Rather than calling it a hall, it would be better to call it a natural garden. This place has formed its own space, the large black dog exclaimed. The ancient sages could open up a small world, so it was naturally not a problem for them to open up an even smaller space within a hall. This was a world filled with light and vitality. To suddenly go from a pitch-black hall where one could not even see their own fingers in front of them into such a lush space was extremely shocking. The contrast between before and after was too great. Yi Fan swept his gaze over the surroundings, searching for Pang Bo's figure. His powerful divine sense transformed into a golden sword, ready to strike at any moment. The cobblestone path led into an ancient forest. There were vines everywhere, hanging from the trees to the ground, and there were small white flowers blooming everywhere. Pang Bo. Yi Fan's eyes shone brightly as he looked into the forest. In front of him there was a sacrificial altar in the forest. It was hidden by the trees and a tall figure was silently sitting on it. There were many fallen leaves on his body, and it seemed as if he had not moved for a long time. His figure was exceptionally muscular, and he was much more muscular than ordinary people. His upper body was bare, and his bronze-colored skin was filled with a healthy luster. His thick black hair draped down to his waist. This person was Pang Bo. They had been separated less than a year after arriving in this world, and several years had passed before they finally reunited today. Swoosh. Pang Bo, who was sitting on the sacrificial altar, suddenly opened his eyes. They were like 2 bolts of lightning, extremely sharp. Upon seeing such a sharp gaze, Yi Fan's heart instantly sank. This was definitely not Pang Bo, and he gave off a feeling of extreme danger. Even though the person in front of him had the body of his best friend, he was like a wild beast filled with a terrifying aura. Attack! Yi Fan shouted. The Black Emperor let out a loud roar, like the roar of a barbaric dragon, causing the entire space to tremble. Chi, 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 hundreds of flags were thrown out, surrounding the forest in the middle. The large flags fluttered, covering the sky and earth, sealing off the forest and the sacrificial altar, preventing the other party from escaping. Humph! A heavy cold snort sounded out. The strong figure on the sacrificial altar had eyes as sharp as knives. He stared at Yi Fan and said, "Are you here to return the Tao scripture? What did you do to Pang Bo?" Yi Fan roared. "I am Pang Bo, aren't I fine now?" The strong body on the sacrificial altar still did not move, quietly sitting there, but the terrifying aura was even more terrifying. "Brat, are you sure this is really a lonely wild ghost that is at the end of its lifespan? Why do I feel like I'm facing a true dragon?" The Black Emperor anxiously transmitted his voice. At this moment, Pang Bo, who was naked from the waist up, was indeed like an ancient ferocious beast, filled with a powerful sense of oppression. "He's bluffing, he won't be able to live for long. Let's attack together and kill him." Yi Fan took the initiative to attack. The small golden lake between his eyebrows produced a golden sword, which instantly slashed out. Clang! A ray of divine light also shot out from between Pang Bo's eyebrows, clashing with Yi Fan's golden sword, releasing a dazzling and terrifying brilliance, like 2 iron hammers colliding. What a powerful divine sense. I haven't seen you for several years and you actually have such achievements. This Pang Bo's eyes shone brightly and he said, "I haven't forgotten about your body. Since you delivered yourself to me today, I'll just take it." Roar! The large black dog roared like a barbaric dragon, shaking the mountains and rivers. It was hard to imagine what kind of power was contained within its body, causing this space to tremble violently. A crack appeared on its forehead, and a third vertical eye appeared. A terrifying black light shot out, slashing towards the person on the sacrificial altar. Chapter 270. Although the large black dog was usually very unkind, he was very diligent at this crucial moment. This was because this concerned his life and death, and it also involved the Demon Emperor's ancient scripture. A vertical eye opened on his forehead, which shone with a black light. It shot out like a black waterfall, clanging loudly as if it were a black blade slicing through the air. Clang! Pang Bo sat cross-legged on the altar, not moving at all. A divine light flashed between his brows, and it shot out, striking the black light as if two sharp blades had collided. It was clearly a divine sense attack, but it was like a divine weapon clashing with a treasured blade. Brilliant light shone, sparks flew and clanging sounds rang out. Didn't you say his lifespan was about to run out? Why is he as strong as a true dragon? The large black dog was exasperated. In this exchange of attacks he didn't gain any advantage, and was even at a slight disadvantage. He won't be able to last long. Use your most powerful attack and you can definitely take him down. Yi Fan shouted. Now there was already no way out. There was only one chance to save Pang Bo, and it wouldn't come again if they missed it. You've delivered yourself to me, how reckless. Pang Bo sat cross-legged on the altar, his black hair dancing in the wind. His eyes were as sharp as blades, and his bronze-colored body shone with a treasured light. Leave Pang Bo's body? Yi Fan roared. Chi. A small golden lake appeared between his brows. It was as deep as an abyss, and a spiraling golden power shot out towards Pang Bo. Pop. Pang Bo didn't move and he sat upright on the altar. A dazzling crescent flew out from between his brows, and it entered the spiraling golden wave, slashing through the void. Yi Fan's face paled, and his body shook violently. The golden power was sent flying back. Although he wasn't injured, he was shaken. Ever since his divine sense could materialize and reach an unimaginable level, this was the first time he was at a disadvantage in a clash of divine senses. As expected, this was a supreme elite of the demon tribe. Although his body had been destroyed and only his divine sense was left, it was still extremely terrifying. At such a young age, your divine sense can already materialize. How rare. Just like your body, I'm looking forward to it. Pang Bo was calm. What are you pretending to be a supreme elite for? I'll kill you. A black saber shot out from the large black dog's vertical eye, and black light shot into the sky as it slashed down. Clang. The crescent moon that shot out from Pang Bo's forehead was silver and indestructible. It struck the black saber and broke it with a crack. The large black dog's divine sense shuddered and he roared. It was clear that he was at a disadvantage again, and he had suffered a small loss. Kill? Yi Fan threw caution to the wind. The golden lake flew out and turned into a golden sun, rushing towards the altar. Without holding anything back, he sent out his divine sense. If this small sun was extinguished, then he would definitely die. Even if you put your life on the line, it's useless. Pang Bo said in a low voice. The silver crescent moon was fixed between his eyebrows, shining brightly. I'll give it my all as well, the large black dog said as he unleashed his divine sense once again. A black light flashed like a saber as it slashed toward the silver moon, coordinating with Yi Fan's attack. Clang, clang, clang. Their divine senses were all extremely terrifying, and they had all reached the realm of transformation. If an ordinary person were to see this, they would definitely be shocked. This kind of battle was the most dangerous. The slightest carelessness would lead to the destruction of both body and soul, consigned to eternal damnation. The divine sense slashed out, releasing an ear-piercing sound. Brilliant light shot out in all directions and clanging sounds rang out. Yi Fan and the Black Emperor joined forces, but they were still at a disadvantage. Pang Bo's divine sense was like an abyss, surging and indestructible. Boom. The small golden sun was almost shattered, and Yi Fan's divine sense retreated like the tide, returning to his body. He swayed and was actually really no match for his opponent. The Black Emperor also shouted loudly. A black light flashed and he charged back, shouting, F***, brat, I've been tricked by you. This is clearly an old bastard. It's not that we aren't strong enough, it's that he is too strong. It's useless to say all this now. Hurry up and think of a way to kill him. Yi Fan transmitted his voice. His divine sense is full and there's no sign of it weakening. He's not a dying person. Even if the two of us fight with our lives on the line, we might not be able to kill him. The large black dog bared his teeth. A thought occurred to Yi Fan and he said, it seems like he can't move. He has been sitting on the altar this whole time, and hasn't moved in the slightest. Use your cauldron to kill him. The large black dog also saw the abnormality. At this moment they were inside the cauldron. Yi Fan didn't plan to remove the protection, and directly drew out the leaf fire divine furnace. The furnace was transparent like a crystal, and it appeared in his palm. Then it turned into a dazzling light and rushed out. It quickly enlarged and emitted a 5-colored divine light. In the blink of an eye, it became 30 meters tall and like a small mountain, it pressed down towards the figure on the altar. Pang Bo gave a cold humph and sat cross-legged without moving. He stretched out a large hand and with a clang, slapped it on the furnace. It was unknown how powerful the power of this strike was, but a piece of the Li Fire Divine Furnace instantly deflated, and was sent flying. What a powerful force! Yifan was shocked. He controlled the Li Fire Divine Furnace, and made it enlarge to a height of 30 meters. It pressed down, emitting a rumbling sound. Pang Bo didn't move and sat there cross-legged. His black hair danced lightly, and divine power circulated around his bronze-colored body. He still slapped out a large hand. Dong! This time the sound was deafening, causing this space to tremble. A large piece of the Li Fire Divine Furnace deflated, and a clear palm print was deeply imprinted inside. This didn't seem to be a precious furnace, but rather a piece of mud that had been struck until it caved in. His physical body has already entered the 4 extreme mystery realm. Yifan's heart trembled. It had only been a few years, and the other party had already refined Pang Bo's physical body to such a level. This was really shocking. I estimate that he can compete with the Little Rock King. The large black dog's expression was ugly. Now do you believe me? He has grasped the Demon Emperor's ancient scripture. Otherwise, how could he be so terrifying? Yifan provoked the large black dog. If he can't move, then it'll be much easier. The large black dog bared his teeth. However, before he finished speaking, Pang Bo flew up with his legs crossed, and as fast as lightning, he rushed towards the two of them, and a large hand suddenly slapped down. Retreat! The Black Emperor shouted. Yifan steered the cauldron, and in the blink of an eye, he rushed into the midst of the fluttering flags, avoiding the large hand's slash. The several hundred flags covered the sky, not only to seal off this place but also to protect them. Every flag was inscribed with profound Tao patterns, and these were carefully prepared by the large black dog. He was afraid that the other party's physical body was too powerful, and he would chase after them. Sure enough, it came in handy now. The several hundred flags waved and the sky and earth here changed. It was a hazy scene and Pang Bo didn't dare to rush in. How powerful are these Tao patterns you inscribed? Yifan asked. As long as he isn't a great elite, he'll definitely be trapped if he comes in. The Black Emperor was full of confidence. Pang Bo didn't chase after them. With a flash of light, he returned to the sacrificial altar, and sat down cross-legged again. I didn't think that I wouldn't be able to use my divine sense attack technique. Now, I can only attack him with my physical body, the large black dog said. Yifan activated the Li Fire Divine Furnace. This time he directly opened the lid, and black flames rushed out like a tide, surging toward the sacrificial altar like dark clouds pressing down. This kind of blazing flame was something that even the cultivators of the 4 extreme mystery realm couldn't endure. If they came into contact with it, they would definitely be burned to ashes. When Yifan released the flames, he was more or less hesitant. After all, it was Pang Bo's physical body. However, the result shocked him. Pang Bo's eyes shot out an intimidating divine light, and like 2 silver dragons he rushed into the sky. He shouted, 9 slashes of the demon god, formed destruction. 2 silver beams of light shot out, and wherever they passed, the void collapsed. A large area of black flames was forcibly destroyed. Yifan was shocked. This kind of technique was too terrifying. Using the light of his eyes to destroy the black flames, this was shocking and practically unimaginable. This is the supreme secret technique in the imagination of the demon race. I didn't think that it would really be created by someone, the large black dog shouted excitedly. I already said that he has the demon god ancient scripture on him. That's right, only the demon god emperor can create such a supreme saint technique. The large black dog shouted. Now I believe your words, he has the demon god ancient scripture on him. Yifan sacrificed the furnace, and the Li Fire Divine Furnace enlarged. It shook violently and the boundless black flames surged down again. It's useless. Pang Bo sat there not moving at all. He looked toward the sky, and the silver light in his eyes was like a true dragon soaring into the sky. Oh. The void collapsed and the boundless black flames were once again silently destroyed, disappearing in the sky. Clang clang clang. At the same time, the silver light was like a blade, slashing on the Li Fire Divine Furnace, beating it into a sorry state on the spot. It was full of holes and was shriveled into mud. The demon god divine technique is too terrifying. The large black dog murmured. Yifan withdrew the furnace. Only now did the Black Emperor come back to his senses. As if he had thought of something, he said in surprise, "What furnace is this? It actually wasn't penetrated?" Why are you still asking about this at a time like this? Hurry up and think of a way. Yi Fan withdrew the furnace. The large black dog gritted his teeth and said, "What else can we do? Use your furnace to kill him. This is a saint tool exclusive to the demon god emperor. Although it is not an extreme weapon in terms of toughness, it is rare in this world. He won't be able to shatter it." Yi Fan and the Black Emperor walked out from the furnace, and then struck the furnace that was forged from source chi. It grew to a height of 9 meters, and tens of thousands of wisps of heaven and earth chi that were as heavy as mountains descended. "What, it's actually a saint tool of our sect." Pang Bo was shocked. Then he laughed loudly and said, "This is really a great gift. I might not be able to see it again in hundreds of thousands of years. I'll accept it." Like the little rock king that day, he directly stretched out a large hand, and grabbed toward the huge furnace, wanting to take it for himself. "Quick, lend me a hand," Yi Fan shouted loudly. Without needing him to say anything, the large black dog had already moved, and together with him, they controlled the ancient huge furnace to suppress the sacrificial altar. Boom. After an intense collision, the sacrificial altar beneath Pang Bo was turned into dust, and he could only sit cross-legged in the air. The ancient huge furnace shook and smashed into the large hand, causing it to retreat a few steps. However, its body was not injured. "As expected, it can compete with that bird man," the large black dog cursed. This huge furnace could be said to be indestructible. Up until now, only the little rock king and Pang Bo dared to face it head-on, and they were not injured. "We can only trap him with Tao patterns," the Black Emperor said viciously. Hundreds of large flags rose from the ground, fluttering in the wind and stabbed forward, shrinking the space. "I won't give him any space to move, I'll completely seal him off." The large flags fluttered and Pang Bo was sealed within them. The surrounding forest all disappeared, and there were no more flowers and plants. There was only a hazy mist. "You can seal my physical body, but you can't seal my divine sense, forcing me to kill you," Pang Bo shouted loudly. "Not good," the Black Emperor shouted. At the same time, Yi Fan's expression also changed. His divine sense rushed out of his physical body and was stripped away. 9 slashes of the demon god, deprivation. Pang Bo roared loudly. All of this happened so quickly, and whether it was Yi Fan or the Black Emperor, neither could resist. The source of their divine sense was extracted, and they were sent into a silver world. Divine sense void. Yi Fan exclaimed in shock. This was a small silver world, and it was only 300 meters in circumference. It was a divine sense space. A supreme secret technique from the ancient scriptures of the demon race. The large black dog was astonished. 9 slashes of the demon god. Pang Bo replied coldly. Chapter 271. This was a small silver world with a circumference of only 300 meters. It was a sealed divine sense space. Pang Bo's upper body was bare, and his bronze-colored skin was full of power. He stood in the center of the field. This was formed from his divine sense and was not much different from a real person. The Black Emperor was the same. The large dog formed from his divine sense was as strong as a bull, and even his bald tail was the same as his real body. Only Yi Fan was a ball of light that was like a golden sun. His use of divine sense was far inferior to these two old monsters. Seek brat, I've been screwed over by you. The large black dog bared his teeth and said, "This is clearly a vicious character. Before he lost his physical body, he was most likely a demon tribe overlord. Don't tell me that his current divine sense is comparable to that of the great sage." Yi Fan was also uncertain. He must have been a great elite in the past. Although his divine sense has fallen, it's almost impossible to deal with him. The large black dog regretted boarding the pirate ship. "There's no point in complaining. Hurry up and think of a way to kill him. Otherwise, both of us will die here," Yi Fan said solemnly. "The ones who will be killed will probably be the two of us. Although he is no longer as strong as before, he is still powerful enough to refine us." The Black Emperor was filled with regret. "You want to kill me with just the two of you? You really don't know what's good for you." Pang Bo smirked coldly. "All the demon tribes are one family. Don't be so murderous." The large black dog took a few steps forward and said, "We are all demon tribes, so everything can be discussed." "Then let's discuss. How do you want to die?" Pang Bo's eyes were intimidating, and he stood in the center of the field with his hands behind his back. "Fighting to the death is something only barbarians would do. We don't have any irreconcilable enmity, so we can sit down and talk." The large black dog was very thick-skinned, and he had forgotten that he had wanted to kill Pang Bo not long ago. "Do you think you can still leave alive?" A cold smile hung on Pang Bo's lips. Actually, this is all a misunderstanding. I came to spar with you. I heard that you have an ancient sutra of the Demon Emperor, and I also happen to have a Black Emperor Sutra. Why don't we spar? What Black Imperial Sutra? I have never heard of it before. I will refine you and everything will be mine. Pang Bo's expression was cold. Damn it, do you really think this emperor is easy to bully? I'll beat you up today. The Black Emperor cursed. The silver small world is most suitable for burying your divine wills. I will properly refine the physical bodies you leave behind. Silver splendor shone everywhere. A divine moon appeared in Pang Bo's hands, gentle and holy. The large black dog didn't back down, and he spat out a black trident from his mouth. Black light flashed, and killing intent radiated from the trident as it slashed forward. Clang. The divine moon in Pang Bo's hand flew out, and then it stopped in midair, sucking the trident over. With a kacha sound it snapped. Brat, don't just stand there, hurry up and attack. The Black Emperor roared, the black trident reformed and slashed down again. Why do all of you have weapons? Yi Fan clenched his teeth. He transformed into a golden sun and charged forward with a golden sword within it. Boom. He struck out with all of the power of his divine sense. It was incomparably ferocious, shattering that divine moon on the spot. The golden sword even more so slashed out, hacking towards Pang Bo's head. Clang. Pang Bo lightly flicked his finger, shattering the golden sword and withdrawing the power of the divine moon. Swish. The golden divine sense turned back, once again forming a small sun. Brat, you are too fierce, attacking without holding anything back. The large black dog pointed out. In this divine sense space, you can transform into anything you want. With the large black dog's guidance, Yi Fan quickly adapted to this change. He instantly transformed into a human, holding a great desolate halberd in his hand, pointing it towards the southern sky. Release the real Pang Bo, he shouted. This halberd was as black as ink, and it shone with a metallic luster. It was formed according to the little Peng King's great desolate halberd. You are all struggling in vain. Pang Bo's figure was tall and sturdy, and his black hair danced in the wind. With a flash of light, a demonic blade appeared in his hand, bright and dazzling. Kill? Yi Fan gripped the great desolate halberd with both hands and charged forward. There was already no path of retreat. If he wasn't killed, then he would kill his enemies. Clang. The great desolate halberd slashed out with a dazzling light, clashing with the snow-white demonic blade. Yi Fan's divine sense instantly dimmed. This emperor is coming. The large black dog stood up, holding the trident and slashing down. At the same time he opened his bloody mouth and bit forward. Pang Bo's eyes shone with a cold light. The demonic blade in his hand shook, shattering the great desolate halberd on the spot. Then he slashed the trident in half. You guys are no good. Woo! The demonic blade slashed through the air, like the wails of ghosts and gods, killing intent heavy as it slashed towards Yi Fan and the Black Emperor. Dang. In that instant Yi Fan's right arm and the shattered great desolate halberd transformed into a large seal. 9 dragons coiled around the seal, causing the divine sense space to tremble. Dang. The large seal fell, smashing into the demonic blade and shattering it. At the same time the large black dog transformed into a true dragon. Like a great black iron wall, he charged forward, his powerful dragon body crushing down. Still no good. Pang Bo transformed into a heavenly pung, his entire body shining with golden light. A pair of sharp claws grabbed the true dragon, and with a fierce tug the true dragon was shattered. The large black dog instantly screamed in pain. His divine sense collapsed, and he reformed into his dog body not far away. Clang. The heavenly ping soared through the sky, its golden wings sweeping past, slicing Yi Fan in half and shattering his divine sense. Boom. The Black Emperor and Yi Fan fought with their lives on the line, transforming into monstrous flames that burned fiercely. Black flames and golden flames submerged the heavenly pung. You finally can't hold on any longer. Are you going to struggle on your deathbed? You guys can't hurt me. Pang Bo transformed into a blazing golden lotus, bathing in the flames. He absorbed the divine sense of the two of them, wanting to strengthen himself. Yi Fan and the Black Emperor transformed into their true forms. They staggered backwards, their expressions extremely ugly. This old monster's divine sense was several times stronger than theirs. Even if they joined forces, it was impossible for them to kill him. Chi. Pang Bo transformed into his true form, standing there. His eyes suddenly shot out 2 streaks of silver light, like dancing true dragons, and he pounced forward. 9 slashes of the demon god, form destruction. These 6 words were like the heavenly voice of death, shaking the small silver world. The expressions of Yi Fan and the large black dog changed, and they quickly dodged. 9 slashes of the demon god, form destruction. It had once extinguished the black flames in the Li Fire divine furnace, and its power was unimaginably great. Boom boom boom. The silver world with a radius of 300 meters was no longer stable, and it could be torn apart at any time. Yi Fan was in a dangerous situation, brushing past the silver light. This was because Pang Bo was mainly staring at the Black Emperor, wanting to eliminate it first. Ah! The large black dog screamed in pain. He was struck by the silver streak, and his divine sense was instantly destroyed. He lost 1/10 of his body and he became much dimmer. Die! Pang Bo shouted. The silver streak in his eyes became even brighter, like a true dragon soaring into the sky, shooting toward the large black dog. If such a supreme divine streak really hit, the large black dog would most likely die. Yi Fan hurriedly attacked from the side, but Pang Bo was unmoved. With a turn of his eyes, he forced Yi Fan back. I will fight you to the death. The large black dog roared angrily. 9 slashes of the demon god, form destruction. Its power was unparalleled, and it was a supreme divine technique created by the demon god. If he was killed like this, he would definitely die. He resisted angrily with the thought of dying together. Boom. The silver streak was like a dragon, piercing through the chest of the large black dog, enveloping him, causing his body to quickly dim, wanting to completely destroy him. Yi Fan's whole body went cold. The 9 slashes of the demon god was too terrifying, and even the powerful Black Emperor couldn't block it at all. His body and spirit were about to be destroyed. He roared loudly and transformed into a golden sun, charging over. At the same time, he activated 2 mystic techniques from the 9 secrets. Now, with his divine sense as his body, he didn't know whether he could use the 9 secrets. Seeing that the other party had unleashed that kind of divine technique, he also gave it a try without any hesitation. The Battle Saint technique was successfully unleashed. This caused his heart to tremble and he was greatly encouraged. The Saint technique was like a mountain and Pang Bo staggered, almost collapsing. However, Pang Bo wasn't distracted because of this. The light in his eyes became even brighter, and he was determined to refine the Black Emperor. Ah! The Black Emperor screamed loudly, and his divine sense started to disintegrate. His body and spirit were about to be destroyed, and he would disappear from this world forever. Yi Fan was shocked and enraged. He unleashed his Battle Saint technique madly, and his divine sense surged like a volcano. Pang Bo's body was like a mountain, and the instant he was shattered, he immediately reformed. His eyes never disappeared and endless silver light shot out, locking onto the Black Emperor. Boom. The large black dog howled loudly and instantly collapsed. Black Emperor. Yi Fan shouted loudly. Dang. The sound of a bell rang out, and a large golden bell appeared, hanging in the middle of the silver small world. A material weapon. Pang Bo was shocked and he quickly retreated. F***CK, you had a good time beating me up, didn't you? The Black Emperor materialized. Its body was half its original size, and its glow was also very dim. It had suffered very heavy injuries, and its body and spirit had almost been destroyed. It would be difficult for its divine sense to recover without a few months' time. Could it be that you were also a great elite in the past? You sealed your weapon in your mind, so you must have also encountered an accident. Pang Bo stood nearby, his expression ice-cold. You almost turned me into dust, yet you also unsealed my treasure. I don't know whether I should thank you or kill you. The large black dog gritted its teeth. It had almost been turned into dust, and its heart was filled with fury. The large bell reverberated, releasing a series of golden ripples that hung above its head, trembling unceasingly. Do you think that only your mind has a weapon sealed in it? Pang Bo smirked coldly. Clang. An azure lotus appeared in Pang Bo's hand. It was as green as jade and it was sparkling and translucent, exuding a terrifying fluctuation. Your original form is a lotus, the large black dog said coldly. That's right, I am the 19th generation grandson of the Demon Emperor. Pang Bo was extremely cold. The large black dog transmitted his voice to Yi Fan and said, In a while I will use the golden bell to tear open the divine sense space, and we will charge out together. He has the azure lotus, which cancels out the advantage of my golden divine bell. We are no match for him. The large golden bell hanging above its head was a bell, which surprised Yi Fan. He disagreed and said, As long as you block his weapon, the Azure Lotus, I have a way to kill him. F***ck, you're crazy? He has the demon tribe's ancient scriptures, and he has grasped the 9 slashes of the demon god. I don't know how many slashes he has cultivated, but just the form destruction slash alone is enough for us to block. Is it enough if my divine sense is 10 times stronger? Yi Fan shouted. Of course it's enough, but how is that possible? Nothing is impossible. I have the inheritance of 9 secrets. F***ck, you deserve to be struck by lightning, brat. You actually obtained this kind of secret technique? Why didn't you use it earlier? The large black dog was extremely shocked, and then he began to curse. How would I know that the body of divine sense could also be used? Yi Fan activated the 9 secrets. The supreme secret technique that he obtained from the Taishan Clumsy Peak needed to be triggered, and he could only succeed once after several hundred tries. Now that he had learned the Battle Saint technique, his success rate was much higher. But even so, he could only succeed once after more than 100 tries. Once he succeeded, whether it was his speed or battle prowess, they would all increase by 10 times. It could be said that this was a peerless secret technique that even the land of the great sage would be envious of. Dang. After the golden bell was enlarged, it was no different from a divine bell. Even if it was called a type, the two were similar in shape. The long and deafening sound of the bell almost broke open the divine sense space. Even if you have this weapon, you will still die. Pang Bo held the Azure Lotus in his hand, and with a light sweep, the shaking large bell instantly quieted down. His weapon is so terrifying. Yi Fan was astonished. What did you think? He is the descendant of the Demon Emperor, and the blood of the Demon Emperor flows in his body. A weapon refined from an Azure Lotus is naturally incomparably powerful, the Black Emperor urged, telling him to act quickly in case something unexpected happened. Dang. The sound of the bell was long and drawn out, and the large black dog protected himself with the golden divine bell. The large bell shook, and bursts of golden ripples rushed out in all directions, trying to pierce through the silver world. What you are doing is futile. Pang Bo's expression was cold, and the Azure Lotus in his hand was glistening and glistening. With a powerful sweep, the space around him became calm, and all the golden ripples were extinguished. Rip. At the same time, his eyes shone with a brilliant silver light, and he used the Demon Emperor 9 slashes of annihilation again. A bone-chilling aura engulfed them. I don't believe that you can destroy my divine bell, the large black dog roared. The large golden bell hovered in the air, protecting both him and Yi Fan within it, ringing and turning continuously. Dang, dang, dang. The silver light struck the golden divine bell, causing it to ring and tremble continuously, but it was not destroyed in the end. As expected, a weapon refined by a great elite is indestructible. If my divine sense did not fall, the Demon Emperor 9 slashes could actually destroy this bell. Pang Bo shouted coldly. What are you boasting about? There is no one in this world that can destroy my weapon. The large black dog said proudly. Pang Bo smirked coldly and said, Do you think that you can stop me with a weapon that looks like a bell? He shouted softly and walked forward with the Azure Lotus in his hand. With a powerful sweep, azure light flashed, and the divine lotus landed on the large bell. Dang! There was a violent tremor, and the large golden bell was almost sent flying. The divine lotus swayed. It looked weak, but it was indestructible, and there was nothing it could not destroy. Dang, dang, dang! After the divine lotus landed on the large bell, the force of the tremor became stronger and stronger, and the golden divine bell was about to be sent flying. Brat, can you do it? The Black Emperor was anxious. I'm done. Yi Fan activated it over 100 times and finally activated the 9 secrets. The large black dog actively cooperated, and the large golden bell shook violently, wanting to pierce through this space and stick to the divine lotus. Boom! The power of Yi Fan's divine sense rushed out like a tsunami, and it was 10 times stronger than before. This was an unimaginable divine might. Pang Bo shouted loudly and the divine lotus shook, but it could not break free from the large bell. Silver light shot out from his eyes and he used the Demon Emperor 9 slashes, form destruction. However, even though this supreme divine technique was created by the Arch, and had a might that could shock heaven and earth, it could not block Yi Fan's attack at this moment. In front of absolute power, no matter how profound the divine technique was, it was useless. Wild power could break through the Tao and defeat the miraculous techniques of the great Tao. Yi Fan's divine sense had already reached the level of materialization in the first place, and after being strengthened 10 times, it was almost comparable to the divine sense of a great elite. The golden divine sense swept out like a vast ocean. Boom boom boom. The silver light was dispersed and Pang Bo was sent flying, his body shattering. This is the all character of the 9 secrets. He shouted loudly in shock and quickly materialized, resisting with all his might. Boom. Yi Fan used his Battle Saint technique, and in conjunction with this secret technique he launched a double attack. At this moment, he held a greenish-gold battle spear in his hand, and a golden pagoda above his head pressed down like a god of war. Boom. He was like a god, with 10 times his battle prowess and 10 times his divine sense. This kind of attack was shocking. Pang Bo was shattered again, but he was still not destroyed. He materialized again, and the silver light in his eyes rushed out like a true dragon. This time Yi Fan activated the 9 secrets to the extreme. He transformed into an ancient cauldron and crushed down from the sky. Boom. Wild power soared into the sky, and the cauldron that he had transformed into pressed down on Pang Bo.